presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Wisconsin.
Friday night, the place to be, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Miller Park, a pennant race is on. And the Brewers welcome in division rivals, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Got a big crowd on hand tonight, expecting a near sellout. Carlos Gomez, he's hot. His last 4 games, 3 home runs and a .429 average. Andrew McCutchen, he is not, but he's just back in the lineup. He's 0 for 8 in his 2 games since returning from the DL. That is a big piece back for the Buccos. Well, the Brewers come in with a game-and-a-half lead over St. Louis. The Pirates are 6 back. Very important series for both teams. Milwaukee trying to put some distance between themselves and the Pirates. Hi, everybody. Alongside Bill Schroeder, I'm Brian Anderson. Sophia Minard, our reporter here tonight. Been looking forward to this series for a while here. The Brewers and the Pirates. This is going to be the first of 2 series remaining for the rest of the season. Brewers also go to Pittsburgh in September. So, Rocky, look at this season series so far. The Brewers have won 10 out of 13. Can they keep it up?
Well, if they continue to pitch like they have in the first 13 games, it's a pretty good chance that the Brewers are going to continue to this pace. And when you look at what the Brewers have been able to do, it's all about the pitching. They haven't really scored an enormous amount of runs. You can see what they've done. 4.15 runs a game. The batting average decent. They've hit some home runs, but it's all about the pitching and the Brewers' opportunistic offense. The reason that the Brewers have dominated the Pirates over the last few years. You can see what the Pirates and the Brewers have done since August 13th. The Brewers have, been playing some pretty good baseball, scoring some runs. The Pirates have not, but look at the earned run average for the starting rotation for the Pittsburgh Pirates, over 5. The Brewers at about 2.5. That's your big difference right there.
And the Brewers are going to give the ball to their opening day starter, maybe the hottest guy in their rotation right now, and that is Yovani Gallardo. He has a chance at a franchise record tonight. Craig and Davey will explain when we continue. Brewers Live, Fox Sports Wisconsin.
Baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. By Miller Lite, now in the original can, it's Miller time. By Toyota, let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Miller Park will be busting at the seams all weekend long for this series. The Pirates and the Brewers. Giovanni Gallardo, career numbers against Pittsburgh. He has won 12 of 16 decisions. Also 9 strikeouts, of setting the Brewers franchise strikeout mark that Ben Sheets owns right now. 9 away. 14 is his career high a couple of years ago against these same Pittsburgh Pirates. So something to track tonight indeed. Well, Davey and I getting you closer to first pitch here on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Yo has been hot since the All-Star break. He's won his last 2 starts most recently, but this guy's dialed in, to say the least.
He is dialed in. You know, he reminds me of the old Yo when he first joined the ball club with his great command, that great curveball of his. And, you know, he was pitching ahead of hitters, did throw a lot of pitches. You know, when he does that, this guy is truly your ace. I mean, he is dominant. And doing so, he could still rack up the strikeouts.
And Giovanni Gallardo continuing those dominating numbers against Pittsburgh. We'll see. 35 games to go, 25 against division foes, including a 3-game Central showdown this weekend. Enjoy Game 1.
On Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. What a night for baseball tonight. Starts a 3-game series with the Buccos from Pittsburgh. 72 degrees tonight. Roof is open. Clear skies up above. And looking forward to the matchup. Should be a great series. They're all going to be intense the rest of the way. Clint Hurdle knows how difficult it is to play here at Miller Park. Now in his 4th year, took the Pirates to the playoffs last year for the first time in 20 years. His batting order looks like this. It's brought to you by Associated Bank. Josh Harrison leads off. All-star, now a third baseman pretty much every day. Travis Snyder, he's played his way into the lineup every day this week. Andrew McCutchen back from the DL. And then you got Walker, Martin, and Sanchez in the middle with Starling Marte, Jordy Mercer, and Jeff Locke rounding out the Pirates' 9 against right-hander Giovanni Gallardo. And that ERA continues south. It is now at 3.32, coming off a terrific start his last time out.
And he got a win against the Dodgers in L.A. 1 run in 8 innings. His last 2 starts, both of them wins. one against the Dodgers, one against the Cubs, 2 combined runs in 15 innings of work, making career start number 24 against the Pirates. He has got a 12-4 record with a .257 earned run average against the Buccos.
Gallardo begins the day 8 strikeouts away from tying Ben Sheets' franchise record for a career. Crew chief is Jerry Davis. He'll call the balls and strikes, one of the best in the business. And we're ready to play ball here tonight. Gallardo ready to go. Josh Harrison leads off. And the first pitch is in there for a strike. And away we go. What a year for Josh Harrison, an all-star season this season. As a utility man. Comes in batting .304. The new Jay Hay kid in the National League.
Man, all-star this year, and certainly has worked his way into a starting position on this ball club, getting most of his opportunities right now at third base. Big slugger Pedro Alvarez sits this one out.
Well, the Pirates feel like they are a better team with Harrison at third base every day. They've been trying to maybe have Alvarez play a little first base, and that has happened on occasion. But Clint Hurdle is going with Gabby Sanchez at first base tonight. 1 ball, 2 strikes. In and out of the glove of Lucroy. Now the Brewers have a 6-game lead over Pittsburgh in the National League Central Division standings. I don't think you'll hear either manager talk about it, but for the Pirates, this could be a series where they're either back in the division title race or it's going to be exclusively a wild card race for them.
Yeah, Pirates certainly need to win this series. I mean, I think every team at this point in the season feels like they need to win every single series, but I think it's even more important for the Pirates than it is for the Brewers.
Now they do have their MVP back, Andrew McCutchen, and that's a big piece to get back. McCutchen out with a fractured rib after being hit by a pitch. Pirates went 5-9 with him. He looks like he's pretty chill right there. He's in the director's chair.
Yeah, very relaxed.
It's the way you got to play this game, right?
Saving the energy.
Two and two the count. Gallardo trying to shake loose the leadoff hitter tonight, Josh Harrison. He doesn't shake easy. Been one of the tougher outs in the league all year.
Yeah, good contact hitter, a guy that will put the ball in play, and that's important when you consider it's a lineup for these Pirates that swing and miss quite a bit. Very aggressive ball club, very important for this Brewers pitching staff to be careful early in the count.
Harrison currently 6th in the league in batting, and down he goes right on cue. A strikeout is how Gallardo's day begins.
Cut fastball, and Josh Harrison just couldn't handle that one. That was a good pitch down and away. The pitches that he was fouling off were up in the strike zone. Yvonne's had that cutter working pretty well.
Check our AT&T Uverse rewind. What you see in Gallardo's last start against the Pittsburgh Pirates. That was back in June.
It was a 1-0 victory for the Brewers and Gallardo. He went 7 innings, did not allow a run, and really had good command. There's that cutter right there. The curveball is a good pitch for him, and it's one of those things. Giovanni just seems to have a lot of confidence against the Pirates. 12-4 in 23 starts.
And tonight will be a rematch of that game back in June on June 8th. Gallardo matching up against Jeff Locke, the left-hander. Here's Travis Snider. Snider has hit his way into the lineup more consistently. In his last 11 games, he's hitting .439 to get his average up to .277 for the year. 3 of those 10 home runs have come in the last 11 games. And he has 7 RBIs in that stretch as well.
Yeah, 2 guys in this lineup that have been pretty hot. It's Travis Snider and Starling Marte. Marte's been swinging the bat at the bottom of the order.
Snider has knocked Gregory Polanco out of the starting lineup for most of the week. The very talented, much heralded prospect Polanco has not started a game since Monday, and he's mired in a 1-for-27 slump at the plate. So it has been Snider that Hurdle has gone with recently. Bouncing ball to Segura, right at him. And a low throw dug out by Reynolds. 2 up, 2 down for Gallardo.
Well, the Pirates have not been very good defensively. This is the way they line up. Brought to you by Menards today. Or I should say the Brewers, excuse me. Chris Davis, Gomez, and Braun from left to right. You got Ramirez, Segura, Ricky Weeks at second base with the left-hander Lockout on the mound. Mark Reynolds at first and Lucroy behind home plate. Getting ahead of myself in the Pirates defense.
It's just a little teaser for next half inning.
Yeah, just keep in mind they haven't been very good defensively.
Here's Andrew McCutchen, and he takes a strike. Well, you're all coming back from the disabled list like McCutchen. I mean, it takes a little while.
I was just thinking Yo was already through this half inning.
Well, you got to think that the injury McCutchen sustained is, although he's back from the DL, it still has to be a problem for him. I mean, if you've ever broken a rib, fractured a rib, torn cartilage around your rib cage, anything in these pivot areas still has to be a major problem. And that's booted by Segura. Segura was trying to hurry it along, knowing McCutchen runs well. You see him tugging at that brace he's wearing under his jersey. And that'll be an error on Segura in E6.
Yeah, play that he makes just about every time. I mean, he makes that one in his sleep most of the time, and that'll be an error. Allowing McCutchen to reach. I mean, with that cracked rib and just getting over it with the brace, you figure it's going to slow him down a little bit. Ordinarily, McCutchen, a guy that will steal a base for you. We'll see how he plays it.
Wondered about his timing as he's come back. You wonder, you know, when an athlete like McCutchen is not at 100%, can't do the things he normally does, what kind of player can he be? We will find out. Brewers are hoping he stays in this slump until he leaves Milwaukee. He's 0 for his first 8 since coming back from the DL, McCutchen. He's at first for Neil Walker, switch hitting second baseman who's having a big year. 17 home runs, 52 driven in. Bouncing ball foul. He does a lot of damage for a second baseman. Matter of fact, he's also leading the National League in home runs by a switch hitter. He's 4th in baseball overall.
And 16 of his 17 home runs have come as a left-handed hitter. So you got to be careful with this guy when he's batting lefty.
Extra pitches here in the first after the error by Segura. Walker fouls it away, hit it on the barrel, but a little bit late, and it's 0-2. Both teams coming off an off day yesterday. That was the last off day at home the Brewers will have for the rest of the season. They do have some off days upcoming, but they're on the road. Got one in San Francisco next week. They'll have one in Cincinnati. But we're into the stretch now.
All hands on deck. It's going to be very difficult to justify getting a day off at this point. You know, less than 40 games left. Ron Renicky very pleased the position his team has been in all season long. Why wouldn't he, right? First place since April 5th.
Now the Brewers with 35 to play in the regular season, including tonight. McCutchen goes, called strike 3. Gallardo drops the hammer on Neil Walker. 2 Ks in the first for Gallardo. failed to score. Gallardo with a couple of strikeouts and is 6 away from a franchise record. Brewers batting order looks like this tonight. It is courtesy of Associated Bank. Gomez, Lucroy, Braun at the top. Ramirez, Davis, and Weeks in the middle with Reynolds, Segura, and Gallardo rounding it out. All right-handers in the starting 9 for Ron Renneke to match up against left-hander Jeff Locke.
Yeah, Jeff Locke being start number 15. He started his season down in the minor leagues, got called up for a game in May, got sent back down, and then when he got recalled, faced the Brewers and pitched well. 1 run in 7 innings. He's 1-2 in 5 starts career against Milwaukee. He faced Giovanni back in June in Pittsburgh and lost 1-0.
This was the matchup Brock's talking about, as Locke pitched very well but suffered the loss. Gave up just the 1 run on only 3 hits in that game back in early June. Locke can be a tough customer with that changeup and his excellent breaking ball.
Changeup, curveball, and likes to use the fastball and work inside. He did a lot of that back in Pittsburgh. And it'll be interesting to see if he does it again tonight.
Carlos Gomez taking a rip to get us started offensively tonight. Comes up empty. Every now and then he hits one of those, and it goes a long, long way. Gomez with 21 home runs for the year. 21 homers, 27 steals. He's the only player in the big leagues to enter into the 2020 club at this point. And is 5 for 11 against Locke with a home run.
And he's throwing all 3 of the pitches that he possesses to Gomez in this at bat. Fastball, changeup, breaking pitch. Trying to keep Gomez off balance.
Lucroy waiting to hit next. Brewers have settled in for the most part on their lineup as Gomez pops one foul. Gabby Sanchez is over, and he's got it. And there's out number 1 for Locke. Gomez is out. Let's check out the Menards Pirates defense, as you were saying, Rob.
Now we can talk about the Pirates defensively. They are next to last in team fielding percentage. Only Arizona Diamondbacks have committed more errors than the Pirates. Pirates have 91 errors. And Russell Martin, a guy you just can't run on. He has thrown out 20 of 63 would-be base stealers this year. And you saw his numbers match up as well as anybody in all of baseball.
And you see that gold patch on his chest protector. He is a Gold Glove Award winner in his career. Matter of fact, he was the last Gold Glove Award winning catcher in the National League before this rain by Yadier Molina. That's going to end this season most likely after Yadier missed most of the second half. Be an interesting discussion about Gold Glove catchers this year. Lucroy certainly has a chance in that category as well.
No doubt. As good as he's been this year. Offense certainly has something to do with the Gold Glove. Lucroy has those credentials too.
It's a great matchup in this series of catchers. If you appreciate the position, know how important the position is. They're slightly unorthodox. Both very good athletes. They are fast. They're quick. Heady players who hit a little bit. Lucroy's having an amazing offensive year this year. Hitting at .303 with 13 homers, 59 runs batted in.
And both doing a very good job quarterbacking their pitching staffs.
And Lucroy draws the walk. So there's a base runner with 1 out. First of the night for the Brew Crew. And here comes Ryan Braun.
And Locke able to manage his walks pretty well, particularly in his last start against the Nationals. Did not allow a run in 5 2/3, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and used 93 pitches to get through that 5 2/3, and was victimized by a blown save. So he's been pitching well.
Now the Pirates ran into the buzzsaw that is the Washington Nationals, who have won 10 in a row now. And they swept the Pirates last weekend. Pirates just beat the Braves on Wednesday to snap their 7-game losing streak. 6 more matchups with the Pirates this year. 3 here at Miller Park, 3 in Pittsburgh in mid-September. Actually, 3rd week of September. A little off-speed pitch. Looked like a changeup in there for a strike. 1-1 to Ryan. 15 homers, 71 runs batted in. Hitting at a .274 clip. The 71 RBIs leads the club. 7th in the National League. 89 RBIs leads the league. Giancarlo Stanton of the Marlins. There's a big swing, and it's 1-2.
And 3 of those 71 RBIs coming against the Pirates. Against the Pirates in Pittsburgh, actually. And the Pirates had a lead in 9th, hit home runs, a 2-run shot and a solo shot for blown saves. So Ryan's been pretty dramatic against the Pirates in his career.
Those coming against Jason Grilli, who is now pitching with the Angels. Pirates made the trade with the Angels. Mark Melanson now closing games for Pittsburgh. They do not have that automatic 1-2 punch at the end of games that they had last year. That Melanson to Grilli combination that was so good for them a season ago. 2-2 to Braun. Inside, he misses. That's a key pitch for Locke, as Rock talked about. He was nailing that inside corner in Pittsburgh, and that was really the difference with him having success or not. When he's making his pitches in there, his ball has a lot of run to it. It's not an easy spot for him to pitch to.
He doesn't throw many fastballs, at least 2 seamers on the outer half of the plate. It's all inside, and that's a good complement to his good changeup. Fastballs in, breaking balls away, keeps hitters honest on both sides of the plate. Coming inside again.
And Braun fouls a breaking ball away. Locke has a very good strikeout to walk ratio this year. 57 Ks, 17 walks. Mostly balls are put in play, however. Full count and a check on Lucroy. Braun hammers one left center, way back there, and it is gone. Ryan Braun, a 2-run home run. A hanging curveball, and Braun didn't miss it. Number 16. And the Brew Crew on the board early tonight.
Well, went back-to-back, doubled up on the curveball and hung them both. Brawny fouled off the first one and centered on the second one. Actually a changeup, my mistake. Up in the strike zone, out over the plate. I knew it was something off speed. Curveball, changeup. Brawny hits this one out of the ballpark. A no-doubter for Ryan Braun, who seems to have the home run stroke out against these Pirates in his career. Number 16 of the season, our Powerball home run count.
And 4 of the 16 this year coming against the Buccos. Big shot early for Braun and the Brewers. 16 homers, 73 runs batted in now for Braun. That's a bat the Brewers would love to get hot. It's not that he's been in a slump. He just hasn't been getting his hits recently. I think there's a big difference. Braun has been swinging the bat well. He's hit the ball hard, but you get him in a hot streak, look out. He can carry a ball club.
Most of his hits and most of his production have come to the opposite field most of the time this year, and very rarely do you see him pulling out of the ballpark.
Aramis Ramirez, the former Pirate. .297 hitter Ramos. 13 home runs, 57 driven in, has an on-base percentage just shy of .340. And he draws the walk, so Locke pitching around the zone a little bit, and Ramirez didn't bite. Second walk of the inning. Ray Searage making an early appearance at the mound with his 26-year-old left-hander. Searage is a former Brewer.
And battery mate with me back in the old days, back in '94 and '95, and good sense of humor, Ray Searage. 94, 95, and 96 with Milwaukee, 71 games. Now the challenge for Clint Hurdle is to convince his ball club that they are not jinxed here at Miller Park or against the Brewers, period. You got to know it's in their heads, and nothing better than to get an early lead against a team that has been snake bitten against you.
Well, they may say all the right things, and you hear different discussions from Clint Hurdle over the years. Pirates did have a pretty good year against Milwaukee last season. Brewers are 10-3 this season against the Pirates. Last year the Pirates turned the tables a little bit. They went 12-7 against the Brewers. But last season was the first season against the Pirates since '06 where the Brewers had a losing record. Yep. So over the years here, as the Brewers have gotten good and gotten themselves into contention, they have won the season series matchups against Pittsburgh. Chris Davis with Ramos at first. And Locke can't find that inside corner.
And the Brewers have been particularly good here at Miller Park against the Pirates since 2007. They're 40 games over 500 against the Pirates here at Miller Park.
Davis a bouncer to short. This is Mercer. And the Pirates go 6-4-3 for a double play to end the inning. But Bronny Braun strikes early tonight, a 2-run homer on a changeup. And the Brewers are on the board quickly. We head to the second. Head to the top of the second. Check it out, Rock. See that right field corner down there?
Yep.
That's where we're going after the game, and that's where the Brewers Live pregame guys were before the game today.
Look at Marcus. He's enjoying that, isn't he?
He really does enjoy that too much, the Brewers bullpen catcher. I think Augie came out the best on that one. So we were, we got a challenge by the Clements famous racing sausages. So
right.
You and I have to do our part after the game on Brewers Live postgame today. Russell Martin, and that's a high throw from Ramirez.
Wow, 2 errors already for the Brewers, and that doesn't hardly ever happen with Aramis Ramirez. I mean, every one of his throws are chest high. Got under that one and airmailed it. 2 errors already for the crew in the infield. About as routine as it gets. Got underneath them a little bit and just threw it away. No chance for Reynolds.
And Aramis knew it right away. Only his 8th error of the season, Ramirez. He's about as sure-handed as it gets at third base. Usually what he catches, he makes the plays on. And throwing the ball, typically the least of his problems.
Right. He's always straight on the money.
So an E5, 2nd error of the night. And here is Gabby Sanchez, who provided the walk-off sac fly that ended the Pirates' 7-game losing streak on Wednesday. There was a misplay in the outfield between the Upton brothers in that game. Put a runner at third base, and then Sanchez ended it with a sacrifice fly.
Interesting lineup for Clint Hurdle tonight. He's got a lot of his left-handed pop on the bench. Ike Davis, Alvarez, Polanco, as we mentioned, all left-handed hitters. Go with something different, maybe shaking it up a little bit.
Sanchez pops this one up, foul grounds. Reynolds will watch it into the seats. 2 balls and a strike on Gabby Sanchez. Sanchez has been in a platoon with Ike Davis this year. And now Pedro Alvarez has started to join that group. Curious to see if Alvarez does play first base in this series. That's a big bat, a big power bat. That's not in the lineup.
Hey, look at the splits with Alvarez and Ike Davis against Gallardo. Combined, they're 2 for 37. That might be why they're not playing tonight.
Brewers looking for a ground ball here. Try to wipe out the error. 3-1, and that's low, ball 4. So 2 on to start the inning. An error and now a walk.
Hey, Gene Segura makes his bobblehead debut this Sunday as the Brewers host the Pirates. All fans at Miller Park will get a Gene Segura bobblehead courtesy of Pepsi. Call 414-902-4000 or go to brewers.com for tickets.
Two gone for Starling Marte.
Marte's been swinging the bat well. Down to 7th spot in the batting order. One of the Pirates that have been pretty hot lately.
He's hitting nearly 500 in his last 7 games. Has 11 hits. Had a 2-home run game on Monday against Atlanta. Spent some time on the disabled list. Had a concussion. Gallardo pounds him inside. He misses.
Gallardo really trying to establish that inside corner. Just did miss. Both of these guys, it looks like they want to work inside in this game.
Well, the Brewers get 2 on a Ryan Braun 2-run homer in the first. Now Gallardo in a bit of trouble here. An error and a walk. 1 ball, 1 strike. Marte swing and a miss. 1-2. Marte missed 11 games with a concussion. It's been part of the story for the Pirates. I mean, even without some of your big guns, you don't expect to lose 7 in a row if you're a contending team, but they have had a lot of pieces, important pieces on the disabled list this year. Charlie Morton is currently on the disabled list, one of their starters. They just got Garrett Cole back. Cole missed 40 games. Have McCutchen on the DL. Neil Walker spent some time on the disabled list. Had an appendectomy. It's been kind of a strange year for the Pirates with the injuries. Wood just missed. Gallardo wanted it, didn't get the call. 2-2. The count goes to Marte.
Yeah, that's something. That's a pitch that these Pirate hitters are not used to seeing from Gallardo, and he's always trying to work inside, and looks like that inside corner is closed tonight for both pitchers.
Pitch number 5 on Fox Tracks, didn't miss by much. And a 2-2 is bounce foul.
You talk about injuries. There have been some big name injuries this year. A couple of additions to that. Manny Machado on the DL.
He's out for the season. He had surgery.
Yeah, the Orioles, and boy, it's been a tough season for some of the big names in this game.
Angels lost Garrett Richards. He is undergoing surgery today, or might have had it already. He's out for the year. Count goes to 3-2. Well, this inning can go a couple of ways here for Gallardo, and it might all hinge on this next pitch. Pirates are down at the bottom of their order. Marte hitting 7th in their lineup. Mercer to follow, and then the pitcher spot. Full count. 2 on, nobody out. And he lost him. And now the bases are loaded with nobody out.
Well, you open up an inning with an error, and nothing ever really good comes from it. So you get an error, you get a couple of walks. Pirates have not been able to get a ball out of the infield yet. And they've had 4 base runners.
So Rick Kranitz will try to come up with a game plan to get out of this inning. Now the other concern for Gallardo and the Brewers here is pitch count is rising quickly. He's already at 34 pitches, does not have an out in this second inning. Eighth place hitter Jordy Mercer at the plate. Bases are loaded. Brewers are set up to turn 2. They'll concede a run if they can turn a double play. And Gallardo misses. Mercer does have some pop. Has 7 home runs this year. Has had a better offensive season than he did last year, and has emerged as the everyday shortstop this season. 2-0 the count on Mercer.
Yeah, 41 RBIs, not bad for a number 8 hitter. These guys can score some runs. And Giovanni all of a sudden having a difficult time finding the strike zone.
Mercer center field, going back on it is Gomez. All 3 runners will tag. The throw comes into third base. The run will score.
And Marte running right up the back of Gabby Sanchez, thinking he was going to tag up. Good thing he did not. And for the Pirates' sake, he would have been an out at third base. But Marte, assuming he's going to tag, he was almost at second base.
Good throw by Gomez. Keeps the double play available for Gallardo. First out of the inning. Sac fly RBI for Jordy Mercer. 2-1 Brewers now. And the pitcher Jeff Locke at the plate.
Of course, it wouldn't have mattered because Mark Reynolds was in the cutoff spot right by the mound, so nobody at first base.
Now the Brewers expecting Locke to drop a bunt down. Shows bunt early. Pirates wear that number 4 patch on their sleeve to remember one of their great sluggers, Ralph Kiner. before he was a famous broadcaster. He was one of the great power hitters in the game.
Man, he was banging big home run numbers before everybody else was.
Yeah, 50 homer seasons when 50 home runs was extremely uncommon. There's a strike. Gallardo drops a curve in there. 0-2 the count. Locke gave up on it. So does Hurdle have him bunting again with 2 strikes? We'll see. Gallardo has 2 Ks already. Brewers have their corner infielders crashing in here, and it's a swing and a miss. So the old butcher boy play by the Pirates, and Locke comes up empty. A strikeout. Gallardo's third.
Now Hurdle figuring he's got a better chance of making contact swinging a bat than he did trying to drop down a bunt. Didn't look very good trying to lay one down.
Well, now Gallardo a chance to get out of the inning, but a tough customer coming up in Josh Harrison. Strikeout victim his first time up. Coming into this game tonight, 3 players represented in this series in the top 10 in the league in hitting. Harrison, McCutchen, and Jonathan Lucroy. And that ball's driven deep right field. That is way back there. Braun at the wall. Can't make the play. And this is going to bring in 2 runs, and Josh Harrison does it again. Just like that, the Pirates have the lead.
Well, that ball was crushed. Harrison, not a big guy, but he's built pretty well. Drives that one off the wall and right. All right, Braun looked like he might have been able to get there, just not enough. A nice short stroke from Harrison, and Ryan tried to get out there, just couldn't get it. And 2-run score. So 1 hit in the inning. So the error and 2 walks come around to score.
Now Harrison leads the National League in batting average with runners in scoring position. And he adds to it with a 2 RBI double. 3-2 Pirates. Here's Travis Snyder, and that misses outside. Snyder bounces short his first time up. We'll be keeping an eye on the scoreboard tonight. The St. Louis Cardinals are underway in Philadelphia. They've got Wainwright on the mound tonight, but the Phillies have a 5-4 lead in the 5th inning. So Wainwright's giving it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Cardinals a game and a half behind the Brewers.
Well, he's had some games where he's given up some runs. One of them against the Brewers. Gave up 7 runs in a start at St. Louis. Just proves he's human. Happens to everybody.
Wainwright's given up 5 runs on 5 hits tonight, 4 earned runs in 4 innings. Kyle Kendrick is pitching for Philadelphia tonight. 1-2 to Snyder. Fouls it away.
A lot of pitches for Gallardo. 46 already.
Inning started with an error by Ramirez. First error by Aramis Ramirez in 25 games. Hadn't made an error since July 23rd. Making matters worse, the back-to-back walks of Sanchez and Marte, and both were in 3-2 counts. Three and 2 again. Just one of those innings for Gallardo. Trying to survive it. get to the dugout and regroup. It's a hot, humid night here in Milwaukee. Gallardo got a good lather going. Needs to make a pitch. 3-2 pickoff play. They got Harrison. Segura fires to Ramirez. Out there. Smart move. Thinking Harrison might try to swipe third base. The pickoff was put in place, and Gallardo gets out of the inning.
Hotel and Casino. The Brewers looking to come back down 3-2 as we start the second inning, and Aramis Ramirez drew a walk in his first at bat tonight, but it's what he's done since coming off the disabled list in early June, and our lows never stop improving. You see the numbers there from the start of the season until his injury at the beginning of May, a 252 average, but since then a 320 average, 8 home runs, 15 doubles, and Ron Renneke has said this is the type of hitter that Ramirez is, especially when he's showing that opposite field approach, driving the ball to the gaps with those doubles. He said that's when you know Ramirez is locked in at the plate.
And Aramis is certainly one of those bats the Brewers will need down the stretch. He and Ryan Braun, a couple of guys that the Brewers count on for the big production. Jonathan Lucroy's held that title and has done a great job offensively and figures to continue to hit. But if the Brewers can get Ramirez and Braun going together, look out. This would be a tough offense to stop.
It's already been a pretty good one. Always seems to be somebody swinging the bat well. You saw those numbers for Ramirez, you know, in the beginning of the year to mid-May. May was not a good month for him.
Yeah.
Remember all those clutch 2-out RBIs that he had in the month of April when the Brewers got off to that great start.
Little jam shot up the middle, backhanded by Walker, and the throw is in time to get Ricky Weeks. Good play by Neil Walker. And out number one.
Yeah, that was a good play. It wasn't hit all that hard. It looked like Ricky got jammed, but Walker able to get off a very quick, accurate throw to get him at first base.
Well, the Pirates offense giving Jeff Locke a mulligan here for the second inning. After Braun went deep, a 2-run shot in the first. Here's Mark Reynolds now. Well, the first base situation has now turned into a 3-man weave over there with Reynolds, the typical starter at first base, and then the combination of Overbay or Jonathan Lucroy. Recently, Renneke has used against left-handed starters. He's used Lucroy, or rather against right-handed starters on occasion. Lucroy at first base. As Reynolds sends that one high in the air, a mile up there. Marte with room 4 out, number 2. Boy, he just missed that one.
Yeah, thought it might carry out of here anyway. Well, hey, tonight's time of the game winner, the College Pub in Whitewater. City of Champions, Whitewater.
Yes.
EW Whitewater. Hey, if they call the Brewers in the next 24 hours, they get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers home game this year. This off courtesy of Tavern Lake of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
I spent a little time on the Whitewater campus, the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, this summer. That was very impressive. First time I'd been there. I didn't realize it's less than an hour from Miller Park. So I went there.
Did I know why you were there?
My daughter had a dance competition there, so we went and watched her perform, and I went and checked it out. Neil Walker, and he makes a play on Segura to end the inning. 1-2-3. Block comes back with a shutdown inning. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin, and by Marshfield Clinic. Don't just live, shine. Here we go to the third at beautiful Miller Park on a Friday night. 3-2 Pirates. Pirates coming up. Mark Ananasio has got a headset on. He's in town this weekend. Kind enough to join us. Great to have you, boss. How's your day been? How's your week been here in Milwaukee?
Week's been great. Last night we had it was a fundraiser for Henry Aaron at the up in our stadium club here, and Commissioner Seelig was there, and Home Run King, and couldn't have had a better night last night. Did you imagine, maybe let your imagination wander a little bit, that instead of saying Commissioner Seelig, you'd be saying Commissioner Commissioner? Look, he laughed before I even got the question out. Commissioner Ananasio. I think I walked right into that one. All right, so can we just get that out of the way? I'd love to hear, as much as you're willing to offer, how this all went down. You actually interviewed for the job of Commissioner of Baseball. Can you talk us through that and what ultimately left you without the job? And here's the owner of the Brewers. Let me say I'm delighted to be the owner of the Brewers. It's something that's been very passionate for me and my family. Brian, I did an interview a few days ago when the team was in Los Angeles, and a couple of the beat reporters said, well, why did you do that? And I said, if someone calls you and says, we'd like you to interview to be the commissioner of Major League Baseball, you generally show up at that meeting. It was an honor to just be included in the process. It turned out, which I didn't know at the time, there were two other owners, Tom Werner, the Red Sox, and Sue Sternberg at the Rays, who participated in the process. And I said it was just an honor to be there. And
Mark, where does that rank on your stress list of all things you've ever done, as far as sitting in front of those owners and answering some of their questions?
Not as stressful as watching that ball go up Travis Snyder's bat, but all kidding aside, there's 7 owners on the committee, and we take it very seriously, in terms of saying it's an honor and all that. So I think I probably prepared 20 hours for the meeting, not only looking at the macroeconomic drivers of baseball, but a whole host of issues concern the game. One of the things going to this interview did was give me even a greater appreciation, and I believe, being local here, I had a good appreciation.
Let's take a look at Weeks here, and McCutcheon's going to reach again. Ricky couldn't get it out of his glove. Knew he had to hurry.
Yeah, beat the shift. And would have been a tough play anyway for Ricky.
Got to be an infield hit for McCutcheon. Continue, Mark.
Okay. Can't say I'm happy about our infield defense today, guys. But anyway, I really gained a sincere appreciation for what Commissioner Seelig was able to achieve when you realize how broad-based this job is and how many facets it touches. Not to mention being the steward for the national pastime, which in itself is an enormous burden. It's very humbling to think about what the commissioner has accomplished in his 22 years, and I think we're all very lucky to have had him as our commissioner.
Well, Mark, this process, interviewing for the commissioner's job for you, did it change any of your thoughts? I mean, you and I, we've had conversations. We had a long one today with Rock, and it was fascinating to hear you talk about some of the things you have in mind. But did this speed up your process, your thinking about how the game could be better, how changes could be implemented? Was there anything that came out of this interview process that you will now take forward as maybe something that you carry forward as an owner to the current commissioner?
Well, one of the things, in fact, we've talked about is, in the transition to Rob Manfred, having a little more owner involvement, since Rob will be a rookie at his job. Although he's been groomed for a while, so my guess is he's going to hit the ground running just fine. But sure, I think it forced me to think about the sport, and forced me to think about is all the things that are some of the challenges you face in the sport, or kind of the corollary to what makes the sport so great. So like we were talking earlier, the sport doesn't have a time clock, yet now we talk about pace of game, and we wanted to try to attract more youth to the sport and everything. Yet it's a sport that is the only sport, I believe, that spans generations of families. Where I know in our family we have 4 generations go to a game together, and you don't see that in basketball and football. So.
There's a fair ball. It's going to get down into the corner. And now we'll watch McCutcheon, and he's going to score easily as the ball gets tied up in the corner. And the throw comes in late. All the way to third goes Walker. And it's 4-2 Pirates. So back-to-back hits, McCutcheon and Walker. And the Pirates, 2 hits in this inning, have taken a 2-run lead in the third.
And Pirates jumping all over Brewers' mistakes. In the second, now the third, and swinging the bats well. We talked about the fact this Pirate ball club, they can score runs. Their issues have been pitching and keeping the opposition off the board. They've been scoring a lot of runs since the All-Star break, and it's even going to get better for the Pirates with that guy, Andrew McCutcheon, back in the lineup. Let's switch gears, Mark, to your ball club. You have to be delighted where the team is, but there's a lot of tough series coming up. I mean, a lot of competition against the Central Division.
Yeah, the schedule is set so that there's a lot of head-to-head competition going into the end of the season, which I think is very exciting for the fans. I was talking to Ron Renicky before the game, and we're all very mindful. We're in a great spot today on August 20, but we've got 35 games to go, and we need to play good baseball for the next. And Ron talks about this a lot. We need to play good baseball for the next 35 games, and fortunately, we still have 7 innings tonight, but this is not, the team that our defense and everything that got us to where we got, you're not seeing it tonight. It's very disappointing to me.
All right, I know it's difficult to make changes to your ball club at this point, but organization obviously looking to improve. Are there certain areas that you're looking to perhaps improve as the season continues here?
Look, we have the team. Doug and his group are always looking to improve. Doug Melvin, our team, and and I give him credit for that. But that said, going into the trade deadline, we looked at the fact we have a really good team. So. So if you hear some disappointment from me tonight or whatever, it's because I hold these guys to a high standard because they've been in first place since April 5th, and they've been in first place since April 5th because they're a really good team. And so, where some of the pundits, so to speak, have looked at this or that in our club, it could be better. Our team is probably the best thing about our club, and Doug was saying it to a group today on our finance committee, is that it's a really well-balanced club. We've got good starting pitching. We've got second-best offense or second-most runs scored. I think, for example, you look at the Pirates. I think we have 20 less errors than the Pirates, and they're generally known as being a good defensive club. And our bullpen, while we've had some challenges, every team has got challenges. One of the reasons it was difficult to get anything done at the trade deadline with relief pitchers is all teams were looking for relief pitchers. So our team is really set up for this stretch run. Now we just got to execute.
Now there's a walk as Martin heads to first. Third walk by Gallardo. Now, Mark, you start looking at the setup of the ball club, the starting rotation. Can you kind of just take us back to maybe the winter, the offseason, the signing of Matt Garza? You knew you were going to get Gallardo and Loesch, the emergence of Jimmy Nelson. This game is so predicated upon pitching. And where were you at mentally with this team back then, and then how things might have changed for you as you look at this ball club right now? What were your expectations of this team coming in?
Well, one of the things that's worked out well is we've had good health. So even to this late date, we've only had 7 pitchers start the game for us this year, and all 7 have done very nicely. Marco Estrada is a very credible number 5 starter for a major league club, and having Mike Fiers come up and obviously Jimmy Nelson and do as well as they did, really that's what we're talking about, guys.
Nice.
Started Brewers defense, right?
Good way to finish.
But anyway, our starters have been great, and I think they're going to carry us, through September nicely.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time. The almost commissioner of baseball. Proud to have him as the owner of the Brewers.
We'll keep it that way.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks a lot, Mark. Four unanswered for the Buccos here in the bottom of the third. Now time for you to tweet your photo using hashtag WisFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming broadcast. It's all brought to you by AT&T. Well, Gallardo will lead the way for the Brewers. Locke retiring the side in order in the second inning. So Gallardo, Gomez, and Lucroy. I was glad that Gallardo got the ground ball double play there to win that inning. The owner was not pleased with the way things are going. That's not an easy interview when the owner's not happy.
Yeah,
so.
you had to watch what you're asking.
I'm very, very nervous about that stretch.
You don't want to make the boss even more angry.
So he's good. He's a great fan. He and Debbie, they wear every pitch. He was telling us before the game today, Mark, was about when he's not able to be at Miller Park and how he follows the team on his smartphone, on his iPad, wherever he is, and
following pitches. And
Gallardo breaks his bat, and McCutchen in his tracks will make the catch for out number 1.
Hey, with all-inclusive areas, tailgate facilities, and more, it's no wonder Miller Park was voted the state's top location for a group outing. To book your next group event at Wisconsin's premier entertainment venue, visit brewers.com/groups. They had a nice one last night, Mark was talking about.
Boy,
the Hank Aaron tribute.
Hank Aaron, Bob Uecker, Commissioner Seelig, Mark. Some heavyweights at that event. Right off the end of the bat, Russell Martin pounces on it, makes a play for out number 2. Gomez is out. He's 0 for 2. Well, suddenly Jeff Locke has locked it in a little bit. Gave up 2 walks, a 2-run homer in the first inning. 6 in a row since that walk to Ramirez, including a double play off the bat of Chris Davis to get out of the inning.
And he's been effective with off speed. Last time he faced the Brewers, it was a lot of 4-seam fastballs on the inside corner to the right-handed batters, but right now it's basically change-up, breaking pitch, and really hasn't tried to establish too much on the inside corner as of yet. Not to say that won't change.
Lucroy drew a walk his last time up, and then Braun went deep. 0-2 the count on Lucroy. '26-year-old Jeff Locke. Pirates are counting on him heavily if they're going to get back into the race. They're in the wild card race. No question about that. They are certainly in striking distance. It is funny, though, to hear Clint Hurdle, and he does not want to talk about pennant races. He doesn't want to talk about upcoming schedules. All he wants to talk about is his ball club needing to play complete games. And that's the way you have to be as a manager, I suppose. Lucroy's out. 3 up, 3 down for Locke in the third. And that's 7 in a row retired by Hurdle's lefty.
brought to you by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. The Pirates have a 4-2 lead over the Brewers as we start the 4th inning here at Miller Park. And last night, a great night for the Brewers. For the 11th year, the Brewers Community Foundation had the pleasure of hosting an exclusive evening with Hank Aaron held in the Johnson Controls Stadium Club at Miller Park last night. The program included cocktails, dinner, and special guest Commissioner Bud Selig and Hank Aaron in conversation. The presenting sponsor was Forest County Potawatomi Foundation and BCF. All proceeds from the event went to the Hank Aaron Chasing the Dream Foundation, which is administered locally through the Boys and Girls Clubs to help children realize their dreams. The event also included a special tribute to Aaron's childhood friend, Mr. Joe Kennedy, who was instrumental in expanding the impact of the foundation and recently passed away. So Hank Aaron and Commissioner Selig in attendance last night.
Very cool event here at Miller Park. Thank you, Sophia. Gallardo back to work in need of a quick inning here and need to try to get some order back. Got a double play ball off the bat of Gabby Sanchez last inning with a run in and 2 men on base. That was a big one for Gallardo. Let's see if it gets him going. There's a line drive to left, and the Pirates are at it again. Boy, it is not looking like Gallardo's night early here.
Well, trying to come inside once again. He jammed Marte, but able to sneak that one into the outfield. So you got good speed on the bases for the Pirates. Marte will steal a base and has been red hot.
So Marte's been aboard twice. Here's the 8th place hitter Jordy Mercer, who drove in the first run in the 2nd inning with a sacrifice fly. Pirates got 3 in the 2nd, added 1 last inning on a triple and an RBI by Walker. There goes Marte, bouncing ball. Ramirez knocks it down, and the throw is dug out by Mark Reynolds. So a good job knocking it down, saving a base hit. But a low throw, out number 1. Marte advances to 2nd. Carsoup.com trivia tonight. Who are the top 5 pitchers for most strikeouts in Brewers franchise history? Can you name them? Gallardo's on that list. Giovanni with 3 Ks today. He is 5 strikeouts shy of the franchise leader in that category. The pitcher Locke at the plate has 3 hits this year.
Well, the Pirates figuring that, why have Locke drop down the bunt? You got Marte with great speed at second base, and will probably score on anything that's a base hit into the outfield. Why waste the swings and have him bunt?
1 and 2.
One of the 2 better fastballs that Yo has thrown tonight. That's something on him right on the outside corner.
And down he goes. So Gallardo goes right back to it. And that is strikeout number 4 for Giovanni. He struck out the pitcher twice. 2nd out in the inning. And back to the top of the order with a runner in scoring position for Josh Harrison. Harrison doubled in 2 runs. It was a tough chance for Ryan Braun in deep right center, but it's a play that he's made in the past. Certainly not an error. Double's the correct call, but Braun will probably tell you he was right there and should have caught it.
Well, he's stepped back a couple of steps ever since that double by Harrison. I don't think the Brewers thought he was going to be able to hit the ball that far to the opposite field. That's why Braun not able to get to it. He's backed up a few steps.
Harrison's been one of the biggest clutch hitters in the big leagues this year. Now with 40 runs batted in. The nephew of John Shelby, T-Bone Shelby, the Brewers coach, who's monitoring the replays tonight.
Yeah, this is a trip for the Pirates that they're able to bring their dads. We saw a lot of the Pirate fathers in the dugout doing batting practice. I saw Josh Harrison with his father.
That would be T-Bone's brother-in-law. Josh Harrison's mother is John Shelby's sister.
That's a nice thing that they do.
I like that a
Let
lot.
the dads come along on a trip.
Remember Joe Madden did that with the Tampa Bay Rays a couple of years ago. And there's a soft liner into center field, a base hit. And Marte's coming all the way. Throw goes all the way through. And now Harrison goes to second. Well, the Brewers are not playing well tonight.
No, that's not a good throw by Carlos Gomez. I mean, no way you're going to get Marte. He's very fast. If you make that throw in, you got to hit the cutoff man. And because he did not, Harrison now in scoring position. That cut fastball, he leaves that one up. It was out over the plate. Harrison off the end of the bat. But because Marte was running on contact, there's no way Gomez is going to be able to throw him out. And air mails a cutoff man, and Reynolds actually late getting there.
Now it's 5-2. Harrison has 3 runs batted in. That's the second consecutive at-bat where he's produced a run with 2 outs. Well, such a promising start to this game for the Brewers. And they're going to have to wrestle it back now. They trail by 3. Braun hit a 2-run homer in the first inning, giving the Brewers a quick start tonight. Had this crowd revved up. Oh, and 2 the count on Snyder.
This is looking like a short outing for Giovanni Gallardo. Pitch count near 80 already. Next pitch will be number 80, and we're in the 4th inning.
Pirates got 3 in the second. Have added single tallies the last 2 innings. 0-2 to Snyder. Pirates coming off a series loss against the Braves at home. And then they have these 3 games in Milwaukee. Then they go right back home. Start another homestand next week. Cardinals and the Reds. And then the Pirates go to St. Louis. They'll have a 10-game road trip to start the month of September. And they finish the season on a 7-game road trip. But they've got a nice home schedule the rest of the year. They'll ask if he went. He did not. Checks his swing. 2-2 the count. The Brewers split a series with the Blue Jays. Just a 2-gamer on this homestand. Milwaukee headed to San Diego Sunday night, starting a series against the Padres Monday. Slow roller. Segura coming in. Got to hurry it over to first, and he does. Snyder is out, but the Pirates score again. It's 5-2 Pittsburgh. Bottom of the 4th coming. answered now as we head to the home fourth. Brewers are coming up. Well, Fox Sports Supports is proud to collaborate with Stand Up to Cancer, a groundbreaking initiative created to accelerate innovative cancer research that gets new therapies to patients quickly in order to save lives now. For more information, visit foxsportsupports.com. Well, it's a beautiful Friday night here in Milwaukee. We'll see if the Brewers can get their bats going, tighten up their defense a little bit. Got a lot of ball game remaining. Coming off an off-day lag, it seems like. So Braun against Locke. And first pitch is in there for a strike, a 90-mile-an-hour fastball.
And a fastball away, pitching much differently tonight than he did back in June. It has been very effective since that Braun home run.
Now Braun got a changeup up in the strike zone, and he didn't miss it. Ryan with home run number 16. It was a bomb way back there on the netting above the bullpen. And got the Brewers off to a great start tonight. Has not been so great since. Bouncing ball to third. Harrison makes the play for the out. Say hi to the family Relke, who made the big bid on the Fox Sports portion of the BCF auction. They were up here in the booth. And good folks. Having a good chat with him. They got a chance to go down to the truck.
That's where all the work's being done.
That's where all the talent is. Talent's in the truck, we say. Where all the madness is. Tonight's game being produced by Brad Weimer. Directed by Mark Vittorio. Doug Melvin's going to be joining us in the booth next inning. Had a good chat with Mark Ananasio. One and two the count on Aramis. Locke is retired 8 straight. Pirates put the shift on for Ramirez. They've got 3 infielders on the left side. And able to check his swing on a changeup. First base umpire is Greg Gibson. Ramirez has just 2 hits on the homestand. He's 2 for 8. Hoping for a big series against his former team.
Yeah, Jeff Locke just not able to find that inside corner. And if he does not find it, the Brewers are going to stop looking for it. I know that they expected him to throw inside, as he did so very effectively against the Brewers in Pittsburgh.
Well, it's the second time Ramirez has walked. Locke had him 0-2. He lets him get away. And a 1-out walk snaps the string of outs for Locke at 8 in a row.
1 hit for the Brewers and 3 walks.
Made that 1 hit count. Braun with a 2-run home run. Davis bounced into a double play in the first inning. Seems like Locke would be a good matchup for Davis, as well as he hits the ball the other way. But he's hitless in his career. Not a very large sample size. He's a 0 for 6 career. Davis with 20 homers. Reynolds and Gomez top the Powerball home run leaderboard. Chris Davis is in the top 10 in the National League in homers. He's tied for 10th. Extra base hits, where he's tied for 5th, and doubles, where he's tied for 7th.
And the other reason that you like this matchup with Locke is because normally Jeff Locke is the guy that likes to throw the fastball inside. And Chris Davis likes it in there. Very quick hands on the inside corner.
Davis just hasn't been able to square up on Locke. It doesn't look like he's off balance. Looks like he's seeing the ball, recognizing the various off speeds, but he just can't quite find the barrel.
Well, it was a 2-0 changeup.
That'll do it sometimes.
Yeah, who throws those, right?
He's got a lot of confidence in that pitch. Here comes another one, I think. Yep, and a swing and a miss. That's 79 miles an hour. It's still the best pitch in baseball. I mean, everybody talks about the fastball. You got to have a fastball, but a well-executed changeup, it does so much for you as a pitcher.
And it doesn't. There's not a whole lot of stress on the arm. Not like the curveball, the changeup, or the sliders, the split-fingered fastballs. It's just like a fastball. You just grip it differently. That's what makes it such a good pitch. Hitters don't recognize the spin like they do on the other curveballs or the other off-speed pitches.
And by the time your mind realizes it, you're usually way out ahead of it if it's thrown properly. Locke has a good one. Full count. And Davis into left field off the end of the bat. And Marte is there to make the play. Boy, he just missed that one too on the bat.
Another off-speed pitch. 78 miles an hour. Davis got a pretty good swing at it, but down on the end. There's that changeup grip. You see the rotation. And because of that, Davis out on the end. That's what kept it in the ballpark.
It's amazing the difference what the barrel of the bat can produce versus off the end of the bat. Same swing.
Talking about a couple of inches.
Yep. I think Reynolds was close to hitting one out of here in the second. He missed it by a couple of inches on the bat. So 2 outs now. Here is Ricky Weeks. And he lines one fair down the left field line. Down into the corner it goes. Ramirez to third. Weeks into second. So it's a 2-out double. Ricky Weeks comes up with an extra base hit. And the first hit for the Brewers since the first inning.
And not messing around, picking on the first pitch. Right, Ricky was a little bit out in front, able to hook it, keep it fair down the line and left. Yeah, he didn't figure Ramirez was going to be able to score on that unless Marte had some trouble with it, which he did not.
So that'll give Reynolds a swing here at Locke. Brewers are one swing away from tying this one up. Reynolds has not seen a whole lot of Locke. He's 0 for 3 career. That includes his at bat in the second. That one's into left field, and Marte is there. Again, a narrow miss for Reynolds. Another changeup from Locke off the end of the bat. Brewers failed to score in the fourth. Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly. And by Miller Lite, now in the original can, it's Miller time. Lights are up, roof is open at Miller Park, 5-2 Pittsburgh as we head to the fifth. And we're pleased to be joined in the booth by Brewers general manager Doug Melvin. Heard from Mark Atanasio earlier. Now Doug Melvin spends a little time with us. We always like catching up with Doug at least once on a homestand, and you've got big plans this weekend, so glad to catch up with you here today. You look at games like this, and we kind of heard the anxiety in Mark Atanasio's voice. We had him on before the game, and this is what pennant race baseball is all about. It's going to be a roller coaster ride the rest of the year, you would imagine.
Yeah, you know, all these games, you know, people talk about big series, whatever, but every game's big when you get to this point. And we've been a pretty good ball club holding on to first place, and everybody starts feeling it when you get down to 35 games left.
I'll ask you this. I asked Mark as well, but going back to the off season leading up to spring training, what kind of ball club did you think you'd have? What have been some surprises, some changes? Your thoughts about where they are right now?
Well, in spring training, I talked to the club and I talked to the players.
McCutchen sends that one deep right field. That's not coming back. And a home run for the reigning MVP, and the Pirates are up 6-2 now.
You're better off not to have any of us on
this is
here. But
one of those nights with the executives.
But, you know, in spring training, I was in the clubhouse, and I told the players there was enough talent in that clubhouse to win the division. And I believed it. I felt that, you know, whenever you win and have a winning season or go to playoffs, you do get years out of somebody maybe you didn't count on. And you usually have to stay healthy. And both of those things have happened this year. You know, to get a year out of somebody you didn't count on. Zach Duke made our ball club coming out of spring training and has a minor league contract, and he's been great out of the bullpen for us. So, you know, K-Rod wasn't the closer when we were coming out of spring training. And you know, as far as staying healthy goes, our pitching, I think we've only used 7 starters all year, and the 2 we brought up from the minor leagues have pitched extremely well. So we've had a couple injuries, but nothing that we haven't been able to overcome in that regard. But I always felt there was enough talent. If you go around the club and you look at each one of our positions, I do feel that, you know, we got a very good quality player at those positions, and whether it's on the defensive side or offensive side. And I think the Chris Davis and Scooter Gennett, the years that they're having, and they stepped in along with Willie Peralta and made that huge step from the developmental year of last year to perform the way they have this year.
And the thing you wanted to do, one of the main things you wanted to accomplish in the offseason is improve the defense, particularly at first base. You've done that very well with the guys you've had over there with Overbay and Reynolds. They're 2 of the reasons why this defense has been much better this year.
Yeah, our defense has been pretty good this year, and Mark and Lyle both are very experienced, and you know, they bring experience into the clubhouse too. And it's nice to know that if one's playing, the other one's on the bench, and brings you know, that camaraderie that's needed for a team that still has a lot of young players on it, and they've been through it. And you know, I always say that veteran players, the ones that somewhat have no panic emotions. So when you go through a little bit of a losing streak, and you look at them and they go out there and they play the game the same way, and that's something you have to try to avoid, is panicking over a 1 or 2 bad games or a 3-game losing streak, and you try to avoid that. And we've had that one stretch we didn't play well, but beyond that, we've been a pretty consistent ball club.
Yeah, can you give us updates on Matt Garza, Kyle Loesch? How are they coming along, and when do you expect both of them back?
Well, I think Matt's scheduled to go on a rehab assignment somewhere in September 2nd, 3rd, in that range. Get a couple bullpens before that. And Kyle, I believe, is going to pitch probably in the San Diego series on the next road trip. So they're both guys that should be pitching a lot in September. We're hoping they can. You never know till they get back out there on the hump, and they're doing it at game speed. But very encouraging that we'll get them back out there.
Try to squeeze this one in here with 2 outs, but the trade opportunities that are available, we kind of run into the end of August, which means that those opportunities may be coming to an end. Where are you as an organization right now with potential trades? How does that even work at this point to acquire a player from your seed in first place in the division?
Well, teams put players on waivers. If you have an interest, you put a claim in on them. The players got to get all the way through to the other teams that records are not as good as ours, and that's where we're missing out this year. We probably claimed as many as, I'd say as many as 25 players.
Oh, wow.
And that, but there's been a lot of players that, but they get claimed, you know, and a lot of them get claimed, but they don't even get traded. They get blocked. I think the extra wild card is, allowing teams to block players. They claim players with no intention to trade for them. We've even done that ourselves. We've traded or claimed a few players which really didn't have intention to get them. But so I'm not, that whole waiver process after July 31st, I think there's a lot of general managers that probably don't care for it, and they're always looking to tweak it and whatever. But I don't anticipate a whole lot of movement here. August 31st. We've gone through. We know all the players that have been available, and I can tell you it's a pretty small talent pool.
Okay, and so when you say block, a team may block, that means they'll put a claim on a guy, but they won't work a deal out with the organization that's making him available, and so that player just stays with.
He just stays with that
team.
club, and he can't be traded again.
I see. It's a fascinating world, this waiver period, and it used to not be so public.
Yeah,
it's amazing how
everything's public today.
So much is out there, and I'm curious from your perspective how players deal with that, and how you, as a general manager, I don't know if any of our players have gotten out there, but how do you deal with that concept as Marte singles and now 2 on for the Pirates? But I'm sure you're leery of what players know and don't know.
Yeah, well, I think today, people say it's an information world we live in, but I think you got to be careful that there could be a misinformation world too. And that's what, it used to bother me a little bit. Doesn't bother me as much now. And I think players look at it, and it is tough when they look at it and just sometimes push it aside. Some players may worry about it more than others. It's out of their control. The worst part is when you see something that's out there that is not fact, and that's always a little bit more difficult, and sometimes could be tough on a player with the so-called trade rumors that come out. But that's what they are. It's a rumor. So
right.
they tell you what it is, and it's a rumor, and it doesn't necessarily mean it. There's a fact to it. But anyway, it's just part of what we go through today, and in the social and the media world.
Gallardo facing Jordy Mercer. Any thoughts, without obviously naming names, but thoughts about September call-ups? How are you guys going to work September in your mind now that you're in a pennant race? Is it different than years past?
Not really. We still going to bring up some players. Nashville's got a chance to go to the playoffs, but we're well stocked in the minor league system. If other players from A-ball can go as high as AAA to help them out if we bring somebody up. So we're probably going to bring some players up. We go over it pretty well every 2 or 3 days, but we'll wait and probably go over it about Thursday of next week again, because it can change on performance or on injuries.
Cool. Doug, thanks for being with us.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Thanks for letting us ask a few questions.
Doug. Lefty.
Go lefty. Got the bad finger. Doug Melvin, the Brewers general manager, has been with us. Series on Fox Sports Wisconsin, brought to you by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Hey, a reminder, you can join Fox Sports Wisconsin along with Bucks players, alumni, coaches, and staff. The 2014 Bucks Golf Tournament benefiting cystic fibrosis. It's Monday, September 22nd, Westmore Country Club. Visit foxsportswisconsin.com. Click on the upcoming events tab to register. Well, things aren't going the way of the Brew Crew tonight. They're down 6-2. McCutchen is homered, collecting his first 2 hits since coming back from the DL. Josh Harrison with 3 runs batted in, both of them with 2-out RBI hits, and the Brewers trailing by 4.
Isn't it amazing how Andrew McCutchen hits against Milwaukee? Well, it doesn't matter what he's doing before he gets here, but boy, he got 2 hits. He's been on 3 times, a home run. Got something else against the Brew Crew.
That home run he hit was a bomb in the right center. Flourishes here at Miller Park. Segura leads away. Gallardo is on deck. Then back to the top of the order for the Brewers. And Locke misses. 3 balls and a strike. Got some low hanging clouds here.
That's some fog in the area. Yes, sir.
Very Halloween like. There's ball 4. Segura draws the walk. So Locke has issued 4 walks tonight. He's walked Ramirez twice. And that'll bring up Gallardo. Clouds are hanging real low tonight inside Miller Park. Kind of fits the whole scene, right? With the Pirates coming in.
That's right.
Fog set up, getting us prepared for San Francisco, maybe. Well, might be a spot where you let Gallardo swing away, see if he can run into one. Typically, the pitcher would be bunting in a spot like this.
Yeah, for no other reason than to stay out of the double play, but Giovanni can find a gap, get a big inning started.
Well, we got a no-hitter watch going tonight. Mike Minor of the Braves no-hitting the Reds tonight. Gallardo, right center. Travis Snyder is there for out number 1.
Hey, with the fresh eats and free seats ticket giveaway from Subway restaurants, every $25 you spend at Subway, you'll earn a free terrace level ticket. That's good for select Brewers home games while supplies last. Visit Subway for details.
Carlos Gomez with 1 out. Minor is pitching in the 8th inning. He's an out away from getting through 8 no-hit innings. Atlanta, who had lost 9 straight, they've been on a hot streak lately. There goes Segura. Gomez pops it up. Segura's got to hustle back. Sanchez is at the rail, makes the catch, throw to first, and that's the way this night is going. Ugly night at the ballpark so far. We are through 5, and it's still 6-2. Here on a Friday at Miller Park, and the Pirates lead 6-2 as we go to the 6th inning. Our Carsoup.com trivia: the top five pitchers, most strikeouts in Brewers franchise history. Gallardo with 4 tonight. Ben Sheets is the franchise leader. Gallardo is 4 away from Sheets. Might catch him in his next start. And then Higuera, Jim Slayton, and Moose Haas. Top 5. Some good names there.
Yeah.
Sheets has 12:06. Gallardo is out of the game. 5 innings, 4 Ks, currently at 12:02. And Higuera, the only other to reach the 1,000 strikeout mark. And Rock, there is Marco Estrada. He'll take over for the 6th inning. He'll have 9-1-2 coming up.
Yeah, one of the few times that Giovanni Gallardo has struggled against the Pittsburgh Pirates coming in. A 12-4 record against Pittsburgh. Marco last pitched on Sunday against the Dodgers in LA. Gave up a couple of runs in an inning of work. Finished the game. That final game of the Brewers sweep of the Dodgers. You would figure unless the Brewers get something going offensively, get a couple of innings out of Marco Estrada tonight.
Well, that no-hitter in Cincinnati is over. As a matter of fact, the Reds not only broke up the no-hitter, Billy Hamilton broke it up, but drove in a run, and that game is all tied at 1 now. In the bottom of the 8th inning, Cincinnati's still at bat, so no-hitter for Mike Minor. Now he's trying to escape with a win. It's funny how it goes, right? The Braves have 1 run on 9 hits. Reds just scored their first run on their only hit. St. Louis still trailing the Phillies. 5-4 Philadelphia, 9th inning from Philadelphia. Papelbon is on to try to save it for the Phillies. Adam Wainwright pitched tonight. He's on the hook for the loss. Locke strikes out for the 3rd time. Marco Estrada with a K to start his night.
Always fun scoreboard watching this time of year. It's officially not too early anymore to start worrying about what the rest of the division's doing.
Tell you, the American League's got some intriguing matchups tonight, especially out west. The Angels and the A's start a weekend series tonight. Angels have a 2-game lead in that division in the American League West.
Angels have won 8 of 10. Oakland's lost 8 of 10.
Angels just had a major loss. One of their top pitchers, Garrett Richards, out with knee surgery. He's done for the year. Harrison has been an impact player tonight again. What a player he's turned into. 3 RBIs tonight, 2 out run producing hits. Out to Segura, little soft liner for out number 2.
And Marco able to find the inside corner on Harrison and jam him on a fastball at 89 miles an hour. And both of the hits for Harrison have come to the opposite field, and Marco able to get in on his hands.
Two outs for Travis Snyder. Hitless tonight. Thanks to Doug Melvin for spending a little time with us in the booth. And Doug letting us know that Kyle Loesch looks like he's okay. Had a successful bullpen today, a side session today. That ankle appears to be on the mend, and Loesch expected to pitch in San Diego, most likely Monday. And Matt Garza is still on track to possibly return first week of September. That would mean right at a month on the disabled list for Matt Garza, and that's about what it takes for an oblique to heal. Garza's been throwing. Will be continuing to throw off a mound as he continues to rehab. In the meantime, Mike Fiers, Jimmy Nelson remain in the rotation. Peralta gets the ball tomorrow. Fiers on Sunday. Right now, the Brewers operating in a 4-man rotation, utilizing a couple of off days. Skipping Kyle Loesch. Loesch didn't have to go on the DL because of those off days. Snyder turns on one, hooks it, foul. Well, we're hoping to visit with Kyle Loesch tomorrow during our broadcasts. Check in on his health and how his recovery is coming as he prepares for his next start. Brewers need him. Perhaps the most consistent of the Brewer starters until he ran into those ankle problems. Snyder strikes out. Marco goes up the ladder. 3 up, 3 down, a couple of Ks in Estrada's first inning. Pirates lead 6-2. Brewers Pirates series on Fox Sports Wisconsin, brought to you by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino, the Clements famous racing sausages. And those 5 are in a little bit of trouble with us.
Kind of extra grind.
Yeah, they challenged us on the ice bucket challenge. So I was kind of hoping to sneak through this phenomenon without having to go under the bucket.
I'm amazed that
already
it's
made our donation.
taking this long. Honestly.
Well, you've been hurt, so I think that's helped.
No.
You've been out of the picture. So anyway, we're going to do it tonight on the Brewers Live post-game show, and we encourage you right now to go to alsa.org and make your donation. We'll get doused with water and ice, but we'll also make donations.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
So it's a great cause. They're raising a lot of money. It's a fantastic program, and
know some friends that are battling with that right now, as a matter of fact. Tony Fiandaca, buddy in Arizona. Ken Head, who was a former fantasy camper.
Yeah.
And all those out there suffering from that horrible, horrible disease.
Well, we'll do it on Brewers Live in our ties tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike. Luke Croyd leads off this 6th inning for Milwaukee. The St. Louis Cardinals have lost tonight. That game's gone final. Phillies win 5-4. Kendrick beats Wainwright. Papelbon with his 31st save. So the Brewers have a chance with a comeback to add to their lead. They won't lose any ground. Pirates looking at an opportunity to pick up ground on both teams that are ahead of him right now. Three balls and a strike. Lucroy, a bouncer, first base. Gabby Sanchez for out number 1.
A completely different pitcher right now, Jeff Locke is, than what he was back in Pittsburgh. And equally effective both ways in Pittsburgh. Pounding the inside corner tonight. A lot of change-ups, everything away. Completely changing up his pattern. And has the Brewers baffled. Flummoxed.
Flummoxed. Good word. It's a good Scrabble word. Words with friends word. Here's Braun now with 1 away. It's been a busy booth up here tonight, partner.
Yeah. Had some VIP visits, 3 of them. Getting toward the end of the season, and you know we give away those packages as donations to charitable events.
Right.
People are cashing in.
Getting it in before the season ends. You realize there are only 2 road trips left?
No kidding.
2 regular season. Brewers are hoping a third one is pending.
Have a long one coming up.
2 3-city road trips. Braun into center field. McCutchen eases back. And out number 2, and Locke keeps cruising along here. Yeah, the Brewers have 2 3-city trips. Those are the tough ones in baseball, the 3-city trips. And the Brewers have back-to-back, and then throw in a West Coast trip. The rest of the month of August, certainly key to keep yourself in a position. The Brewers have to go to San Diego, always a tough place to play. San Francisco, and then Chicago. That's the next road trip. There's an off day between San Diego and San Francisco. Brewers have just 3 off days remain. Those are gold this time of year.
Had them all bunched up. Had 2 of them in 4 days, and have one on Thursday coming up.
And primarily, you're talking about pitching when you're looking at off days and trying to reset your bullpen with an off day. There's a strike to Ramirez.
Well, the off days have covered up nicely, allowing the Brewers to keep Kyle Loesch on the active roster. Had they not had those off days, they might have had to DL him.
Aramis Ramirez walks for the 3rd time tonight. And Loesch benefited from the off days.
Good news on him. Had a side session today that went extremely well. And he is scheduled to pitch in San Diego. That's good news.
Brewers need a quick strike here. Need something on the board. 6-2 our score. Locke has shut down the crew since the first inning. Gave up a 2-run home run to Ryan Braun. And that's been pretty much it. There's been some walks. Locke has issued 5 walks in the game. And a few narrow misses.
And that changeup's been a very good pitch for him tonight. He's thrown a lot of them to Chris Davis.
One ball, one strike. 2-1. Brewers will face the Pirates again in September, the 19th through the 21st of September in Pittsburgh. That's part of a 3-city trip as well. That's the middle leg of a St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati road trip. That'll be the last road trip of the year. Ron Renick's club comes home for 3 games against the Cubs to finish the season. matching up inside the division the rest of the way.
Yeah. Except for the Marlins.
Yep. After that Marlins series. September 12th to the end of the year, all against division opponents. Brewers will have 7 games remaining against the Cardinals, 4 at Miller Park, 3 on the road in St. Louis. Still have 6 left with the Cubs. We've played the Brewers tough this year. Full count to Davis. Lost him. Back-to-back walks. So Locke has had his troubles with his command. Brewers have been a swing away from getting back into this game.
6 walks. Here comes Ray Searage, the pitching coach. Activity starting right now in that Pirates bullpen. 6 walks, 2 hits.
Well, the Pirates have Jared Hughes warming. Six walks. Ramirez has walked 3 times. First of the night for Davis. And that gives Ricky Weeks a swing here. Brewers are down 4. Got a lot of baseball to play, but Milwaukee needing to get something going against Locke. Ricky doubled his last time up. He hit a bullet down the left field line. He jumped on the first pitch. Two on, 2 out. Missed. Tried that inside corner again. I can't remember a called strike on the inside corner from Locke tonight.
No, he hadn't been able to find it. Much different from his last start against Milwaukee.
Two and 0. Pirates had a pickoff play on behind Davis at first. And now Ricky in the driver's seat here. Hitters count with 2 on. Mark Reynolds due next. Weeks trying to inject a little life inside Miller Park. They haven't had much to cheer about tonight. Out in front.
How many times have we seen that? Fastball count. You've got Jeff Locke going with the changeup. At 2-0, Ricky Weeks thinking I'm going to get a fastball here, and look what he throws him. And gets Ricky way out in front.
Bouncing ball, backhanded, throw to third, and out at third. And everybody's calling for a challenge here. Renicky immediately comes out. Jerry Narron, the bench coach, on the phone. And we'll see. We'll take a look at it, see if the Brewers have a case.
The only play they had.
He missed it there. Ooh, that is going to be close.
Yeah, it could go in either way. That would be a huge call in this game. Ramirez right away thinking he's safe. Third base umpire Will Little, the rookie. He misses it right there, and there it is right there. Looks safe to me. That could very well be reversed. There's the miss. There's the retag. Boy. That's a pick'em.
That is a very close call. Replay challenge. The crew chief Jerry Davis. The calling umpire Will Little.
The only play that Jordy Mercer had was to third base.
Well, Brewers fans just saw the replay on the big board. They think it's a safe call. Josh Harrison, the third baseman. What's interesting about this is Josh Harrison's uncle, John Shelby, is in the Brewers clubhouse. The one who sent the order through Jared Aaron to challenge it. Now the fans are revving up with every replay they show. If only the replay challenge umpires in Chelsea, New York were influenced by the crowd. They are not.
Too bad the crowd don't make the decisions.
That's one thing we learned when we went through our tour of the challenge facility, that they do not keep the audio on for the game. It's quiet in there. They don't have game audio. They don't.
So it doesn't matter what we say.
We have no influence on them. As sad as that is for us.
That's too bad. I think we're fairly impartial. Taking them a while.
Well, they can put a lot of eyes on it. There's an umpire assigned to this game specifically. Major League Baseball doesn't release who that umpire is, because a lot of times that particular umpire may be calling over a supervisor, maybe calling over other umpires who don't have challenges. So there can be a lot of eyes, but only umpires make the decision. Another look at it. We've seen all the looks. Have the super slow-mo replays. Jerry Davis just waiting on word. And it looks like something's coming here. So the headsets are off. What do we have? Out. Wow. Inning over. All right. Well, the call stands. It goes against the Brewers, and Ron Renicky is incredulous. At Miller Park, America's new sports network is the place to turn before every slam, every goal, and every game with America's pregame on Fox Sports 1. Streaming live on Fox Sports Go, you can tune into America's pregame weekdays 5 p.m. Central, only on Fox Sports 1. To find Fox Sports 1 on your cable or satellite provider, go to foxsports1.com.
It's really getting foggy in here, isn't it?
It's like an Edgar Allan Poe poem in here right now.
Starting to go down on the field.
Very creepy. There's a breaking ball bounced over to third base. McCutcheon on the first pitch is out, and Marco Estrada's retired the first 4 he's faced. Well, tough call on a replay challenge goes against the Brewers to end the inning. That could be a game changer right there.
Man, no kidding, huh? Boy, it looked like could have gone either way. Of course, we don't have the opportunity to see what the umpires see always. They have different angles, and they just got to go with it. That's why, Ron Renicky didn't put up too much of a fuss. You saw him a little bit perturbed about the call, but you can't go out there. I mean, that's what replay is all about.
Automatic ejection. It's like arguing balls and strikes when you argue a replay challenge.
And why bother, right? Why go out there? I mean, it is what it is. We're not going to change it. And even if you argue, you're not arguing to the right person.
Neil Walker sends one deep left center, and that's going to bounce off the wall. And Neil Walker in with a double. He has 2 hits tonight, a double and a triple. And the first hit allowed by Estrada. Hit number 9 for the Pirates tonight.
And they've come out swinging the bats. They've got the offense, and they've had the pitching to back it up tonight. That's been their issue, pitching. They can score. Since the All-Star break, they've been one of the best offenses in all of baseball.
Here's Russell Martin now. That replay challenge duration was 2 minutes 33 seconds. If you're wondering.
I guess inconclusive, clear and convincing evidence.
Yeah, if the play on the field was called safe, that's always my question. Would the call have been reversed? You know, the same exact play, but if the call on the field was safe, would it remained safe? So they stuck with the call that was on the field. Will Little, the calling umpire there at third base.
Tall stands. Yeah. You don't know. The man behind the curtain.
One of these days, somebody's going to pick up a headset and start yelling into it. It's going to happen. Buck Showalter almost did it. He was looking for it. The Orioles manager. Where is that headset?
Who am I arguing with here?
It's just dead silence on the other end, too. It's like a prank call, you know.
Yeah, it would have been bases loaded. Tying run would have come to the plate. Not much he could do about it. The only he can do is ask for the review.
One and two to Martin, and he reaches out, serves one into right. Braun's there. Out number 2. As promised earlier in the game, Rock, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Don't forget to use the hashtag #WisFanPhoto. It's all brought to you by AT&T, and it comes from Tom down on the field in his Service Arrows jersey. Got a Yankee fan with him. Thanks, Tom, for playing along. Always enjoy the photographs. So 2 outs. Gabby Sanchez now with a runner at second. Foul ball. Brewers packing in 37,000 plus tonight on a Friday night. Expecting sellouts tomorrow and Sunday. Final game of the series and the homestand on Sunday. Afternoon affair. Quick 5-game, 7-day homestand for the Brewers. 2 off days on this homestand. Reaches out. Fly ball center field. Gomez will make the play. And Marco Estrada has 2 scoreless on the books. 6-2 Pirates. Brewers are coming up. Miller Park as we head to the bottom of the 7th. And we invite you to join the Brewers for social media night at Miller Park Monday, September 8th. The crew will be taking on the Marlins that night. You can choose which player will make a special appearance at the pregame tweet up and receive a t-shirt designed by that player, all for just $25. Reserve your spot, brewers.com/social media night. The Pirates have made a pitching change. Jeff Locke is out. 6 innings, 2 runs, only 2 hits allowed, and Clint Hurdle's going to go with Jared Hughes for the 7th.
He's only given up 2 earned runs in his last 21 games. I mean, that dates back to July 3rd. This guy's been pretty good. Look at the ERA in game number 50. A 1.73 earned run average. This Pirate bullpen has a way of picking up wins. Tonight they're looking to keep the Brewers off the board and secure a win for Jeff Locke.
Brewers need base runners. Mark Reynolds 0 for 2 tonight. Had 2 home run swings and just missed it on the bat on both occasions. Deep fly ball out. Towering fly ball out his first time up. A line drive out his last time up. And Reynolds is 0 for 3 in a foul pop. Brewers scored the first 2 runs with 1 swing of the bat. Brian Braun homered. Pirates got 3 in the second. All 3 of the runs in that second inning against Gallardo were unearned. And then added single tallies in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Josh Harrison has 3 RBIs tonight, 2 hits. Andrew McCutchen has gone deep. Been an ugly night defensively for the Brewers, with 2 errors and a handful of misplays or poor throws, throwing to the wrong base, etc. It's just been one of those nights so far. Doesn't mean you can't turn it around, though. Saw Segura's night at the plate, presented by Wendy's. Looking for his first hit. Shows bunt, takes a strike. Gomez having some fun with his former teammate Francisco Liriano. Those two are together in Minnesota. Chopper over the mound, and this is Walker, throw to first in time.
Very nice. Nice play. He's made 2 nice plays tonight.
2 up, 2 down for Hughes.
Hey, you would figure on a chopper like that it'd be an easier play for the shortstop going toward the bag, but Neil Walker able to make the catch on the high chopper and get a good throw to first base, just getting Segura by half a step. He's played well defensively tonight.
And he's had a good night at the plate as well, Walker, with a triplet, an RBI, and a double. Here's Overbay pinch hitting. He'll hit for Estrada. Marco gives Renicky 2 scoreless innings. Overbay has thrived in this role as a pinch hitter. You see Brandon Kensler getting loose. 8 hits, 19 at bats. Has a home run, 7 RBIs. Had a huge pinch hit appearance in Los Angeles. Drove in 3 runs with a double. Broke a 2-2 tie. That was in that comeback win for the Brewers in LA.
Yeah, Brewers lose that game and you never know how that series is going to end up. But you talk about momentum going into the following day. Brewers able to sweep the Dodgers. That's why you like to have veterans coming off your bench.
Strike inside corner. 1-2. I think the Brewers are pretty happy with their bench right now. You've got, on any given night, the 2 lefties, Overbay and Parra. And when there are right-handed starters on the mound, that puts Weeks as your right-handed bat.
Herrera's done a nice job. You got Scooter. When Ricky's getting a start, you get him late in the game. Yeah.
Brewers weren't very active at the trade deadline. They did acquire Gerardo Parra. That was a nice piece. Doug Melvin was on earlier, as was Mark Atanasio, and both of them talking about how they like the team. They like the players they have. I think that's got to have some meaning in that clubhouse when you hear that from the executives.
Stay pat. You know, everybody, you know, they got that clubhouse chemistry that was developed early on.
2-2 to Overbay. Count goes full. Cardinals have lost tonight. The Phillies beat them. They beat Wainwright. Kyle Kendrick. Papelbon saved that one. 5-4 Phillies win. Overbay, a shot back up the middle. Boy, that had good wood on it.
Oh, a nice short stroke too. Just bad speed at the point of contact. He barreled it up and hit a bullet right up the middle. It was hit so hard that Walker really didn't have a chance at it, and he wasn't too far from it. They had him shaded up the middle, and Lyle keeps the inning alive and brings up the top of the order.
That is a .450 batting average off the bench for Lyle Overbay. 9 hits, 9 for 20. Well, turns the lineup over. Here's Gomez now, and off the foot. Going to be a bang bang play. Harrison's throw, and it is in time. Man, Josh Harrison, this guy is making some plays. He's swinging the bat. What a player he is. That was a fantastic recovery, having to change directions and getting a speedy runner going down the line. That kind of night for the Brewers. Heck of a play. At Miller Park. First game of this 3-game series. Series resumes tomorrow. Our Miller Lite What's on Tap, 5:30 on Fox Sports Wisconsin for Brewers Live. You got Willie Peralta against Edinson Volquez. Volquez having a nice year for the Buccos. Peralta having a great year, a career year for the Brewers. 25-year-old right-hander is tied for the league lead in victories with 15. Brandon Kinsler is out of the Brewers bullpen. 2 scoreless from Marco Estrada. Kinsler will get the bottom of the Pirates order.
And last pitched on Tuesday against the Blue Jays. A third of an inning, allowed a run. 49th appearance for Kinsler and a .353 earned run average. And not much of a strikeout pitcher. Relies on that good sink. Gets his ground ball out. 21 strikeouts and 43 in the third innings.
Starling Marte leads off. Has not been retired tonight. 2 hits and a walk. He scored twice. And a pesky hitter as well, fouling off a lot of pitches. He pushed Gallardo's pitch count up a great deal. Giovanni went 5 tonight, gave up 6 runs, 3 earned. Brewers committed a couple of errors in a 3-run Pittsburgh second. Gallardo was not on his game tonight despite the defensive lapses. 3 walks for Giovanni and 4 Ks. Right now, Yo's on the hook for the loss. Jeff Locke, the Pirates starter, in line for the win. He went 6 innings, only 2 hits and 2 earned runs. He walked 6. Was able to navigate around it. Only one of those walks scored.
It was the 5th start for Giovanni this year against the Pirates. So maybe all the familiarity for these Pirate hitters finally caught up to Gallardo. We'll see next time Gallardo faces the Pirates, see what adjustments he makes. He didn't throw too many curveballs tonight. Fastballs and sliders. Usually that curveball is a big pitch for him. Didn't see many.
I think this is one of those series that, if you've been around the game long enough and you watch the flow of the game, the rhythm of the game, you're hoping the trends don't start to turn the other way. I mean, the Pirates have been losing a lot. They lost 7 in a row before they had a walk-off win on Wednesday. The Brewers have beaten the Pirates a lot this year, 10 out of 13 this season. Those trends usually tend to correct themselves, right? And you're hoping that's not the case. Brewers need to win series. There's a shot to short, and it goes right by Segura. That was hit like a bullet, but Segura barely put leather on it.
He decided to play it off to the side, a 2-hopper, and that'll be another error for Segura.
It's second of the game, the normally sure-handed shortstop. 3rd error of the night. Ramirez has the other.
Segura had an opportunity to get in front of that baseball, elected to play it off to the side, and picks up another.
Here's Jordy Mercer, leadoff runner aboard for the Pirates. Marte a stolen base threat. Kinsler tries to keep him close. Marte has 23 stolen bases. Been caught 8 times. There he goes. Pitch out. Throw to second. And safe. High throw from Lucroy. Marte able to get in there with a steal.
Well, they guessed right. They pitched out, which makes it a lot easier to get that throw off to second base. He can't be any less quick. Not a big lead, a good jump, and just a high throw by Lucroy. Throw right on the bag, and he's out.
Good call. And Mercer a swing and a miss. Brandon Kinsler's been trying to find that slider. Last year he emerged as a great setup man last season. He was throwing the slider. He was throwing a very effective changeup. Kind of found all 3. That sinking fastball. That one gets in on the hands of Mercer. Segura guns one across to get him for the first out.
Well, most of the mistakes that he's made lately have been with the slider, which is why he hadn't thrown too many. Relying on that 2-seam fastball like the one he just threw to Mercer and got in on his hands, a weak ground ball to short.
Well, our Marshfield Clinic leaders in relief, you see that Kinsler with his 48 appearances. Will Smith is the league leader in games, and he leads the ball club. Zach Duke, K-Rod. Early in the season, the first half, the appearances were starting to be a concern, but not so much in the second half. Now, you don't know what kind of carryover the heavy workload in the first half meant. Remember, the Brewers were carrying an extra pitcher, and you had Gorzolani coming off the DL. But with the off days, the way the Brewers starting rotation has gone in the second half, I'd say that bullpen, at least Ron Renicke's opinion of the bullpen, is that they are in a pretty good place right now for innings and appearances.
And again, the appearances in the first half were not because the starting rotation wasn't doing a good job getting deep into games. That wasn't the case. They were. It's just that Renicky forced, and we've talked about this many times, Renicky was forced to go with the matchups quite a bit late in games because they're always in tight games. So each guy wouldn't be pitching long, but they would be pitching often.
Pedro Alvarez pinch hitting for the Pirates. Alvarez has kind of lost his way with the Buccos from their everyday third baseman, and a guy that was getting talked about as a potential MVP candidate last year. 30+ homer season again. Trying to find at bats at this point and starting to play a little first base.
There's an off-speed pitch for Brandon. There's a slider that didn't do much. 87 miles an hour on that last pitch. He will throw a wrinkle in there once in a while to a left-hander.
Got a runner at second, one away. Swing and a miss. He got him. So Kinsler strikes out Alvarez, who has not homered since July 11th. And he's on his way out.
There's a changeup. Yep, back-to-back changeups, and has Alvarez out in front, chase one off the corner. You're just talking about the changeup.
Broke it out against the big lefty.
They heard you. What do you got now?
If only it was that easy. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you on Josh Harrison. He's having one of those years. Time will tell if he's going to be this kind of player each and every year, but boy, you cannot argue with the results. I mean, he has done everything the Pirates could imagine. He's played all positions, infield, outfield. He makes great plays. He's hitting for average, been a clutch hitter. The league leader with runners in scoring position, and he has 2 hits tonight and 3 RBIs with runners in scoring position, and both of those hits came with 2 outs.
He doesn't overswing. He hits it where it's pitched. I know that's an overused saying, but just takes what the pitcher gives him. Doesn't try and hit home runs, and has a pretty good eye at the plate. And because first base is open, Brandon Kinsler being very careful. And you would think he's got the green light 3-0. Why wouldn't you?
And a strike. Well, the Brewers do have Lucroy, Braun, and Ramirez coming up. Kinsler trying to get him to the dugout. Down 4. 3-2 the count.
He mentioned his 2 hits with a man in scoring position tonight. Both have come with 2 out. And those are the ones that kill you.
2 out, 2 RBI double in the second inning. Went off the glove of Braun in deep right center, off the wall. And had a single in the right center with 2 away in the 4th. Full count, 2 outs here in the 8th. And that's into left field, hit fairly deep. Davis is looking up. It is gone. A home run. Josh Harrison destroying the Brewers tonight. 2-run home run for Harrison, his 3rd hit. He has 5 RBIs. They've all come with 2 outs. He's almost hit for the cycle with 2 outs in this game. And that'll send the folks to the exits.
Yeah.
8-2 Pittsburgh.
They're down and in, not even a strike. And Brandon Kinsler kind of getting off the mound a little bit gingerly. I wonder if he hurt himself. Well, just dropping the head of the bat on it and able to keep it inside that foul pole. And now the Pirates have a 6-run lead.
What a night for Harrison, his 11th homer. 5 RBIs tonight is a career high for Harrison. It's tough for guys who make the All-Star team for the first time, you know, kind of the surprise All-Stars, to maintain that level of play the rest of the season. Harrison has not only maintained it, but he's added to it. Snyder to second, Weeks. And the final out. 2 more runs are in. Josh Harrison night at Miller Park. And it's 8-2 Buccos.
Brewers have been kind of caged in tonight. Haven't played well defensively. Didn't get a call on a replay as well late in the game. And they trail. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning right now. And Davey, as we get set for Brewers Live postgame, one of the bright spots, Ryan Braun, 1st inning home run, our Marshfield Clinic shining moment. Boy, it looked like the Brewers are going to do some damage early at that point.
Right, and certainly did. You know, with Bronny getting that 2-run homer, jumped on a pitch up out of in the zone. But then after that, Locke really got locked in and shut the Brewers down.
Well, the Brewers are trailing here. We'll get the inside scoop inside the clubhouse here from Ron Renicky, all coming up on Brewers Live, in a special ALS challenge as well, as Ryan Braun will bat here in the bottom of the 8th inning, facing an old teammate, it looks like, on the mound, guys.
Yes, indeed, Craig. It is John Axford on the mound for the Pirates. From the Indians to the Pirates. And he enters another pennant race, pitching for a National League Central club.
He was claimed off of waivers on August 14th from the Indians, where Axford was 2-3, 10 saves and a .392 earned run average. That all with the Cleveland Indians this year. Made his Pirates debut last Friday against the Nationals in Washington.
Signed a deal with the Indians to be their closer. Axford pitched for the Cardinals last season. Traded from the Brewers to the Cardinals. And a team that went to the World Series. His career with the Brewers, he had some amazing years. Matter of fact, still has the franchise record for saves in a season. 46. K-Rod's got a chance at that record. Good effort by Sanchez. Foul ball. 0-2 on Lucroy.
Yeah, he was pretty much lights out back in 2011. You know, very rare that he would blow a save.
He tied for the major league lead that year in saves with Craig Kimbrell.
46 saves, 2 ahead of Francisco Cordero.
Slow roller coming in Harrison. Why not? He's done everything else. You feel like you could take all the other players off the field at this point.
You like him, don't you?
He's having a great night.
He's having a good night, yeah.
And he's had a lot of activity at third base.
And right off the end of the bat, looked like a cut fastball or something away, and Harrison doing a nice job picking that slow roller from Lucroy. Making the transfer. That's the tough part of that play, and gets him by half a step.
I'll tell you, that play he made on that shot off the foot of Hughes was impressive. Brewers got to find some answers for Josh Harrison the rest of this series. Braun swinging early, fouling away.
You think he could pitch him inside, but that home run that he hit almost hit him. It wasn't even a strike. A two-seam fastball from Kinsler that was boring in on his leg, not just his hands, and he just dropped the head of the bat on it and knocked it out of here.
Now Braun homered in the first. All things were rosy back then. 2-run home run, bottom of the first inning. Crowd was into it. It's been all downhill since for the Brewers. Pirates have scored 8 unanswered runs. They have 8 runs on 10 hits. McCutchen is homered. Harrison with 5 RBIs, a career high. Brewers have committed 3 errors. Two and 2 to Braun. And he slices one to right. That's down, a base hit. A good piece of hitting by Braun on a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, a low fastball. And a base runner here in the 8th with one away.
Man, just pulled the hands in. He got jammed, but able to fight it off into right field. His second hit. You see the two-seamer from John Axford, and again, not even a strike. Braun able to get enough of it to dump it into right field.
Ramirez takes a ball. Been a strange night for Aramis Ramirez. He has walked 3 times tonight.
Yeah, Jeff Locke was willing to just leave it up to Chris Davis. Didn't want to mess around too much with Ramirez. And for the most part, Locke able to handle Chris. Although he hit the baseball hard a couple of times.
Ramirez has not even walked twice in a game this year. He only has 16 walks all year coming into this one, so he's got 19 now. No multi-walk games yet this season until tonight, and he has 3. Improving upon that on base percentage. 2 and 2. Well, the count goes full.
The same old story for Axford that you remember as a Brewer just having a difficult time throwing his curveball sliders for strikes and putting himself in a position to have to throw the fastball.
The Ontario native, Axford, now 31 years of age. Didn't make it to the big leagues until he was 26.
Another guy that likes the Midwest, right?
Yeah.
Brewers, St. Louis, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. I guess Pittsburgh's not exactly Midwest, but kind of West.
It's west for east, you know what I mean? It's like a western
part of PA.
westernmost east coast.
Western part of PA.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, thanks a lot.
I mean, I think you can make that work. They're in the Midwest enough to put them in the Central Division of the National League.
And he was in the Central Division of the American League.
There's Ramirez down the right field line, a base hit. So Aramis, a perfect night at the plate, on board all 4 times. Back-to-back singles, and the Brewers with 2 on and 1 away against Axford.
Well, just dumps that one into right field, just like Ryan Braun. That ball in on him, just serves it out into right field, dumps it down the line, and Ramirez with a base hit. Well, keep the line moving and try and get back into that Pirates bullpen. Get him working a little bit.
Chris Davis with 1 out, 2 on. He walked his last time up. He's lined out and he's bounced into a double play. Axford is not allowed to run as a Pirate. This is just his 4th appearance. Oh, and 2. See what Axford gives him here. Curveball misses. Axford had that franchise record-setting year in 11, the 46 saves. Brewers won the division that year. Axford had 3 saves in the postseason that season. Brewers losing in the NLCS to the Cardinals. Last year, as a member of the Cardinals, Axford pitched in kind of a middle relief role. Got into 6 games, including 2 World Series games. And if you talk to John Axford about pitching in a World Series, from where he came from, a released player, thought his career was over. Brewers signed him. He marched up through the minor league system after he was released by the Yankees. It's an incredible story, from independent ball back into organized ball or affiliated baseball, and then he ends up in a World Series.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you never know.
Amazing.
You just keep pressing on. You never know the breaks you might get.
Strikes out Chris Davis to end the the 2nd out. First strikeout for Axford. 2 outs in the inning. Here comes Ricky Weeks.
And that year in 2011, Axford was able to command that curveball very well, which is why he was able to set the franchise saves record, and has not been able to do that since.
He saved 46 that year, 35 the next year, and then he did not record a save last year, splitting his time between Milwaukee and St. Louis. Had 10 saves as an Indian. Frankie Rodriguez has a realistic shot at that saves record. Got 34 games remaining after tonight. Ricky Weeks with a base hit. A line shot to right, and the Brewers finally score. Their first run on the board since the first inning as Braun scores on the Ricky Weeks single.
And another fastball from Axford, and Ricky Weeks now with 2 hits. Well, he hits that one hard into right field. Just can't get that curveball over for strikes, and Ricky with a nice approach is trying to lay the bat on the baseball and just hits a rocket out there into right field.
All right, now it's a 5-run game. Mark Reynolds up there with 2 on. You know, Frankie Rodriguez sitting on 38 saves right now. That leads the National League. 46 is doable for him.
In his sights, for sure.
Most saves K-Rod has had since he set the single season major league record with the Angels in 08. Oh, and 2 on Reynolds. Mark's looking for his first hit. Brewers have 3 hits in the inning. Needing to push across a few more here in the 8th. Down 5. 2 on, 2 out. The 0-2 pitch is bounced to the right side. And Sanchez to Axford. And the inning is over. Brewers get a run. It's 8-3 Pittsburgh. We go to the 9th from Miller Park. Pirates series on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Not too far from Miller Park. Well, it'll be Tom Gorzolani for the 9th, the former Pirate, match up against his old club. And he'll have McCutchen, Walker, and Russell Martin to deal with in this 9th inning. It is 8-3 Pittsburgh.
It was Gorzolani, Zach Duke, and Paul Mahallam, 3 young left-handed starters for the Pirates back in, it was about 10 years ago. We all thought that they were going to be starters for a long time. Didn't work out, but 17th appearance for Gorzolani this year, a .63 earned run average. Gorzolani last pitched on Wednesday against the Blue Jays and threw a 3-up, 3-down inning, including a strikeout.
A second-round draft pick by the Pirates. Chicago area native. Tom Gorzalani lives in Iowa now, Iowa City. Andrew McCutchen will lead off this 9th inning. He's had a good night, 2 hits, including a booming opposite field home run. He hit him up there where most right-handers cannot go. Deep right center up in the Toyota territory. And it was a no-doubter when it left the bat. Just incredible bat speed. Andrew McCutchen. Listen to the sound. And you knew it was gone.
Yeah, quick hands. He lets the ball get to him, and up in there in the Toyota territory. Almost taking out that car up there. No cheapie for McCutchen.
That's a big blast for a left-handed power hitter, much less a right-hander going opposite field.
Almost took out the Highlander.
Looks like the monitors are working out there in the Toyota territory. They see themselves, they jump around. Watch them. They'll jump. Watch. As soon as they realize it. It's coming. There we go. It's kind of like the bullpen. We can get them dancing whenever we want.
Yeah, not tonight.
Not the bullpen. The fans.
No, they won't be dancing.
Into right, Braun closing in, and McCutchen is out. 1 away in the 9th. Now the Brewers won't lose a game in the standings tonight. Cardinals losing to Philadelphia. St. Louis is just a game back in the loss column. 1.5 in the standings. Right now the Nationals are the hot team in the league. They've won 10 in a row. They are now 20 games over 500 and a 7-game lead over the Braves in the National League East. Washington lost tonight, snapped their 10-gamer. Giants beat them 10-3. Tim Hudson beat Doug Fister tonight.
Fister's had a nice year.
Yeah, that's only his 4th loss this season. Nice pickup by the Nationals with that trade with the Tigers. Lucroy got a foul shot. That Braves-Reds game is now going to the 12th. Atlanta and Cincinnati are tied at 1. Mike Minor had a no-hitter into the 8th inning with 2 outs in the 8th inning in that game. So extra innings from Cincinnati. The other division leader, the Dodgers, 3.5 up on the Giants. Dodgers are at home, tied with the Mets. 1-1 5th inning. Segura takes care of Neil Walker. 2 outs.
Kansas City still holding on to their lead over the Tigers. How about them?
Yeah, and they lead tonight 6-3 over the Rangers.
Game and a half. They've won 7 of 10.
This is a night when the Royals lead late and the Tigers are trailing big in Minnesota 12-5. The Twins have the lead. Kansas City could add to their lead. They could get to 2.5 games.
Baltimore lost tonight. They've got a 9-game lead over the Yankees and the Blue Jays.
Lost the game and lost a key member of their roster for the season. Manny Machado is out for the rest of the year.
Yep.
Big showdown out west tonight as well. The Angels and the A's. That's going to be a fun series to keep an eye on. Right now the Angels lead the A's 2-1. Sonny Gray is on the mound for Oakland tonight. Angels have Santiago pitching. Thought it was interesting. Mike Scioscia kind of publicly calling out Josh Hamilton the other day, saying this is not the player we thought we were getting. Those comments don't feel like off-the-cuff comments.
Man, there's a message there.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, Mike Scioscia's been around too long to just say something out of the heat of the moment. That was a measured, calculated comment. Let's see how Josh Hamilton reacts.
He's homered tonight. Just his 9th home run. One and two. Russell Martin with 2 outs. Hangs in there. The 2 wild card teams in the National League are the Cardinals and the Giants right now. Atlanta's a game back. Pirates are 2.5 back. That was a starting play today. Could be a big night for the Pirates. They could get to a 1.5 back of the wild card. They could inch closer to the Braves. Tough part of that for Clint Hurdle's club, who entered the playoffs as a wild card last year, is that there are 2 teams ahead of them. Marlins are still in the discussion. They're just 4 back in the wild card. They're winning tonight in Colorado, 7-4. Well, Martin, after a long at-bat, delivers with a base hit. His first of the night, a 2-out single for Russell Martin.
I knew you figured that the Texas Rangers would have the worst record in all of baseball. 49-77.
Everybody saw that coming.
My goodness.
John Daniels was speaking publicly about the Rangers in last place, and it was kind of refreshing to hear him talk about it, that there are a lot of benefits to finishing in last with the worst record. Rangers got bit with a ton of injuries. I mean, decimated in all kind of key spots, including Prince Fielder.
Starting rotation.
All 5 members of their starting rotation was on the DL at one point. So they feel like they're going to be good next year. They're going to be contenders next year, and they're going to have draft picks, and they loaded up on prospects. They made a couple of trades with the Royals and the Tigers. I could see the Rangers coming back fast. What's a bigger surprise to you? The Rangers are in last with the worst record, or the Red Sox?
Yeah, right.
After winning the World Series last year, are in last in their division.
Yeah, 56-71. Right.
Red Sox went from last place, worst record in their division, won the World Series last year, now back to the worst record in their division again. Must mean we're going to have a Red Sox Rangers ALCS next year, you think? In the air to left, sounded like he broke his bat. And Sanchez is out, side retired. Bottom of the 9th, last call for the Brewers, down 5. bottom of the 9th inning. Yeah, good seats over there in the front row. Gerardo Parra's ready to pinch hit. We head to the bottom of the 9th with the Pirates up 8-3. A tough night at the office for the Brew Crew tonight. We'll be trying to put this one behind them. Justin Wilson is on to pitch, the hard-throwing left-hander, trying to finish it off for the Pirates.
Yeah, they got two hard-throwing left-handers down in that bullpen, do the Pittsburgh Pirates. They got Wilson, they got Tony Watson. Plenty of arms down in that bullpen for the Pirates. You know, Wilson having a rough time of it. 3-3 and a .466 earned run average. And Clint Hurdle looking to have his left-hander mop this one up tonight. 49 strikeouts in 48 1/3 innings for Justin Wilson.
Well, if you're the Brewers, you're just trying to get one more pitcher on the mound. Trying to get into that bullpen. You never know.
Get the closer in there. You thought about who you're going to call out tonight, by the way?
Oh, we have the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge tonight.
Right, after the...
why are you taking your tie off?
Big money moment? Oh, I'm not. I have to have it on for the big money moment in the post-game show. I still got some work to do.
Segura flies out. I thought you were, you're kind of changing everything up here. I didn't know you could actually call a Major League Baseball game and tie a tie. That's impressive.
Yeah, well, I had to get another T-shirt on under this one.
We're going to keep things in its proper place, you're saying, when the bucket comes.
Yeah, you got to have a lot of cloth and a lot of material between me and that.
Cover up all the stuff.
Yeah. So this sounded like a good idea at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, the Ice Bucket Challenge. I've already done it once today.
Our friends from Clements. Yep.
I'm on a movement right now I'm fine with the Ice Bucket Challenges and all that, but
yeah.
The idea is if you don't do the Ice Bucket, you got to donate, but you ought to just donate anyway.
Right.
So we've already donated.
You're gonna donate, but if you don't do it, you're kind of a wimp.
Yeah, and then that just looks bad.
That's not happening.
So the sausages call us out. It's kind of tired act from the sausages, though, because they had these little signs and they said sausages can't get wet, which is not true. I know a lot of sausages that you dip them in beer.
I boil mine in beer.
In water.
Yeah, hot water.
I mean, I don't know what that's all about. They're making up their own rules here.
Yeah, I know. They can.
Because they're famous.
I'm calling out my 3 kids.
Are you?
Yep.
Well, what do you think about maybe taking down Hank?
Ooh.
The ballpark.
Oh, you're on your own there.
Really? I think Hank. I'm thinking about going Hank.
Maybe when the Brewers first found him in the parking lot in Maryville, that might have been a good idea to dump water on him. They probably would have enjoyed it back then.
Yes, he would. It's like 90 degrees.
I think he's pretty well coiffed at this point.
I don't know. I think Hank might need to be taken down a peg.
You're going Hank.
I mean, he's hanging out with Hank Aaron the other day. He's he's a huge celebrity. I think he'd do it. Just think how many people he could get to donate
what
to.
What you're saying is you got to knock him down a few pegs. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. No, I love Hank.
I'll be on record as saying you're on your own there.
I'm gonna think about that. Maybe you should tweet in. Should we ask Hank or not?
A lot of people around here love him.
Well, a lot of people love you, and you're going under the bucket.
Yeah, but
as Parra draws the walk. I mean, I'd put it on record to say you might be more lovable than Hank, especially after your latest mishap and your days away from the team, and it kind of reminded us all how much we do love you.
I told my wife that I'm going to be doing this, and she said, make sure you have all your electronic equipment off of you first.
And the fact she'd even need to say that says everything you need to know.
Well, she says I'm forgetful, which is true.
Our audio man, Eric West, he's like, oh, we'll wire you guys up and don't worry about it. We'll cover it in plastic.
Put a plastic bag over the thing, right? I'm not doing that.
Connected to my brain. Can your finger get wet, or are you going to have to hold it out?
Oh, yeah, it's fine. Now, if it gets hit by an ice cube, that's a different thing. And I might be saying words I shouldn't.
Are you gonna yelp? I don't know if there's a delay. This will be on live TV, so maybe we ought to. You got to protect that hand.
Yeah, I think I will.
You get one of Gomez's braces on, maybe. So 3-0 to Gomez. That'll be on Brewers Live post-game show.
An abbreviated big money moment followed by the ice bath.
I know for a fact I'm calling out my daughter. It's the reason I'm doing this in the first place. There's a strike. So she can get ready too.
All
That's
the kids,
happen.
all our kids, yeah.
Kids are in. Well, Gomez, did he walk? Is that a ball? He doesn't know. Did he call anything? Gomez didn't foul the ball off. I think Jerry Davis is saying it was a foul ball. I don't know if Jerry Davis will go to a challenge here. I'm assuming Jerry Davis is calling this a foul ball. There'd be no reason for Gomez to react this way. I mean, that's not even close. It's just a miss.
Maybe he's calling it a swing. And did Gomez's bat hit the glove of Russell Martin? I'm not sure.
So remember, Renicky lost his challenge. He cannot force Jerry Davis to go to a challenge.
Did he hit the glove with the swing? He did.
Yeah, maybe that's what he's saying.
That's interference.
Should be a base runner here
right,
with 1 out.
Exactly. Now that's one. Is that reviewable?
Absolutely.
That hasn't been covered, has it? Interference isn't reviewable.
Yeah, you know, it's a good point. I'm thinking about the seminar we were talking about.
Right.
Catcher's interference.
Well, he clearly hit the glove.
There's ball 4. So it all works out. Gomez draws the walk. 2 on in the inning. Clint Hurdle's on the phone to the bullpen. No, you never know. The Brewers are where they want to be in the batting order. Get a string of hits going here. Try to force the Pirates deeper into their bullpen and take your chances. There is the closer, Melanson.
Yeah, one more base runner because it becomes a safe situation from Melanson. Another base runner, tying run on deck. That's why he's up.
1 gone in the inning. Lucroy is looking for his first hit of the night. 0 for 3 with a walk. He was on base when Braun went deep in the first. Oh, and 2 on Lucroy. Jonathan's had a good year against the Pirates this year, hitting over 350 against them. Lucroy, right field, hit it wrong, a line right to Snyder for out number 2. Right on the barrel, but right at Travis Snyder. And the Brewers are down to their last out, and here comes Ryan Braun. Braun with 2 hits tonight. He singled off Axford and scored a run in the 8th inning. In the bright spot in an otherwise slow offensive night for the Brewers. Ricky Weeks with an RBI tonight. Braun has 2 with that 2-run homer. And a bouncing ball. Long throw. Mercer to first in time, and that's a ball game. So the Pirates come in here in a comeback win. They fell down early 2-0, but score 8 runs tonight. McCutchen goes deep. Josh Harrison with 5 runs batted in and 3 hits with 2 outs, producing runs. Lock the winner. Gallardo suffers the loss. The Brewers will maintain their 1.5 lead over the Cardinals, who lost in Philadelphia tonight. Pirates pick up a game on both. Time now for Brewers Live. We check in with Craig Cushon. What do you have coming up, Craig?
Well, we got a wetsuit waiting for you out here. I know that much for the big